Perth SuperNight. Barbagallo, early May 2019. Madbird and Floodman are in charge of the stream. Automobilista Supercars Supernight. That was December 1963 by Madbird for Automobilista Supercars. We are here at Barbagallo Raceway for the Perth SuperNight race. Round 5 of the Automobilista Supercars Championship. I am Madbird. I am slightly scared. This is my first time running this, and I am joined in the commentary box by Floodman.
Good evening, Madbird, and may I just say that introduction was haunting, to say the least.
That's probably a good word for it. How are you doing, mate?
Now that we've actually gotten everything organized and I'm in, and now I'm a lot calmer than I was maybe 5 minutes ago.
Yes, apologies for the bit of a delay. We're about 15 minutes late starting. They did have about a 10-minute delay on the practice, so my fault for that. We had to organise some file stuff, but we're here now. That's the important stuff, and we're going to jump straight into the drivers' points, Flood. So why don't you go through the top 10 for us?
So the top 10 at the moment is Kurt Stenberg on 966 points, followed by Jake Moloney on 99 points behind. Brody Steen a further 189 points behind, and then further back we have Dane Warren, Colin Warwick, Glenn Postlethwaite, Corey Preston, Will Devonish, Scott Nolan, and Dan Ackland rounding out the top 10. Now, am I correct in saying that it is 300 points per round in this series?
That would certainly be a thing that
we should have checked.
That I should have confirmed probably before we started, but it is a lot of points, I believe, per round.
Yep, because that would make sense then if we're trying to emulate the supercars, because that's what they run.
Follows same as normal supercars. Dane Warren, the dominant force as of recently. He took out both races last time out at Phillip Island. Not here so far tonight, so might be good for Kurt Stenberg and Jake Moloney, who both had relatively bad weekends last time out with a 14th and a 4th and a 2nd and a DNF respectively, to claw back some points or claw back a bit more of a lead over Dane Warren. But moving on to the team points, we have got we have got Trans Tasman Racing in the lead, followed by Race on Oz, War Race Engineering in 3rd, Logitech G Altus Esports in 4th, TTL Esports in 5th, followed by Astro Altus Esports, CWR, Synergy Sim Racing 3, JMSR, and Synergy Sim Racing 1. So me and Stairs have mentioned a couple of times Synergy Sim Racing sort of throwing their eggs everywhere rather than putting them all in one basket, which doesn't seem to be working out especially well for them since they have two teams in the top 10 fighting to take points off each other. But regardless, it's still pretty tight there at the top with Race on Oz and Trans Tasman Racing, not even 100 points between them. So be interesting to see if with Kurt Stenberg tonight, and I believe Emery Jones has also managed to join us, they should be able to extend a bit of a lead over the Race on Oz guys.
Exactly right. Of course, if they're split between 300 points per round, that means 150 points a race. So if the gap at the top of the team championship is less than 100 points, that's less than a race win. So every single point is going to be worth gold, even at this early stage of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been an interesting championship. Kurt Stenberg in the lead, despite not having actually won a race, I don't think.
No.
He's gotten 3 second places. That's the best he's done, but he's just always sort of been there or thereabouts. Jake Moloney, who's had almost a pretty dominant season, 4 wins, and the ones that he hasn't won, he's been on the podium. But 2 DNFs, just bringing those. When you get so many points for just finishing a race, when you don't finish the race, you get pretty heavily penalised there, Flatman.
Yeah, exactly right. And I actually quite enjoy that. I think it puts a lot of emphasis on doing what you can to get to the line. And that's something I really enjoy, especially in the real supercars, where you have a surplus placed on getting to the finish just to get points. and I don't think a lot of other series do that very well. So I think that's something that Supercars definitely gets right, and it's something that, yeah, you get absolutely penalized if you don't get to the finish line. So I hope we do see a lot of these top guys get to the finish line, because, yeah, as you mentioned, the penalty for a donut is pretty significant.
Yeah, definitely. Or, your mechanical issues, all that sort of thing, which hopefully we don't have any of tonight. No blown engines or anything like that. Reliability is a big deal, and as is just consistency, getting that car to the end of the line. We did have the Super 2 race just before this one is going live. So I believe that the podium sitters of that Super 2 race have been promoted into being able to race in this one as well, which is a bit of a having to race the Perth SuperNight 2 times in a row essentially. I imagine that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for them. I'm not entirely sure who they were or if they have joined us, but if they have, that'll certainly be a bit of a task for them.
That's a solid amount of racing in one evening. That's a scary amount of racing in one evening, especially at a track like this where you only really get one break for the entire lap. That would be quite a physical challenge.
For sure. It looks as if we've gone into qualifying now, so we will get that one all ready to go. Got a few people coming out into the pit lane ready to start their flying laps. I believe we've got Scott Nolan at the front of the queue, which is pretty standard for him. He likes to get out there nice and early. So we might jump right on board with whoever it is that is at the front.
We should probably have a bit of a chat about the track before quali session starts.
Yeah, absolutely. You're a bit more knowledgeable about the track than I am, so absolutely take it away.
Yeah, so we're at Barbagallo, of course, the site of the most recent V8 Supercars round. If you've been following the V8 Supercars Championship, it's a 2.45 kilometer bull ring, I like to call it. It's only got the 7 turns, but there are a few things here that are really, really important and really important factors. Firstly, the tire wear at this place is absurd. In qualifying, I don't think you can get more than 2 laps. Honestly, I had a bit of a go around here on, I think on Monday, just a few private laps, and after my second lap, I was absolutely toast with the tires. So a surplus on that first flying lap is going to be very, very important. And I think if you see someone throw away their first lap, they probably will go into the pits and get more tires if they can. The second thing is that, as I mentioned, it's very busy, and a lot of that is due to the elevation change. So not only are you constantly turning through the uphill section, but the section over the crest at turn 5 and even into 6, that's downhill and then uphill. All through turns 1, 2, and 3 is uphill, and then you crest at turn 3 to go downhill into 4. It's a very busy track, and a lot of it's very challenging to keep the car stable as you go through the undulations, and especially with the high amount of load you get on that left rear tire, you'll see people burn through tires tonight.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for the insight, because as I say, I'm sort of a recent addition to the leagues of people who are interested in racing, and supercars in particular. I'm quite new to, so I appreciate having the knowledge of someone who I believe you said has been following the sport since you were 4 years old, which is quite a young age to be following a motorsport from. Yeah,
it's been a while. Yeah, not quite at the turn of the century, but pretty close.
Alrighty, so we've already got some fast laps being thrown in. We have Kurt Stenberg, currently the pace of the field with a 53.7. We know that you can go faster than that around here. Fastest we had in practice was about a 53.4, I think. And actually, as I say that, Jake Moloney has gone fastest 53.48. What did I say? I am a genius. Followed by Kurt Stenberg. Brilliant perception by myself. Colin Warwick currently in third with a 53.8. So we know there's a lot more pace in these cars. Maybe just a little bit of a cider.
Scott Nolan's just gone to the top as well on a 53.40. So only 7 hundredths of a second quicker than Jake Moloney.
Absolutely, and we might go on board with him here for this lap. So he's going through turn 5 now, heading down towards the sort of long sweeping hairpin of turn 6. Lots of elevation change on this track. There's a little bit of a struggle going into that braking zone and turning zone rather. He sort of car got away from him, but he managed to grab it. Quite dark here going down this back straight and down the dip. Huge, you can almost feel the bottom of your stomach dropping out as you go over it. And around this last corner, which they're going to be very strict on running wide there on the outside of that last corner, and he doesn't improve his lap, still 4/10 behind his best time. So
and while that lap's been going on, Kurt Stenberg set a 53.7 to go to pole, and he's gone purple to the first and second sector on in this lap. He's coming across the line now and set a 53.31. So first one into the 53.3s, and I think that might be it's going to be a tough barrier to get down to, because I don't see anyone else setting purple sector times at the moment. Actually, as I say that, Jake Moloney just takes the word straight out of my mouth and goes to a 53.1 to take provisional pole position.
That's massive.
Huge. Yeah, purple's in sector 1 and 2, and then a personal best in sector 3 to take a pole position provisionally at this stage. Wow, huge lap.
Absolutely mammoth lap. That is about 3/10 faster than what we saw in practice. Jake is he's a man on a mission.
He's going on with it as well. Sorry, let's jump over here. He's purple to the first sector as well.
No, absolutely. He is a bit of a man on a mission after his disappointing race weekend out at Phillip Island with that DNF. Didn't do him any favors. He's a 10th faster through the second sector split around the last corner. Have to see how much better he improves.
Ooh,
mounts that
way
last
over the curb.
Absolutely. He's still faster though. He's under the 53s, a 52.9.
Wow. What a lap.
Holy hell, he is
faster than the field. 3/10.
He is absolutely wringing the neck of that thing, and he gives it a well-deserved rest back into the pits. Scott Nolan currently the highest standing out on track, and he dives into the pits using the Supercars pit entry, which is the one on this pit straight itself, not the one further back before the last corner.
Which is the bike pit entry, I think.
Is it? It's the one that they use for the bikes? Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense. Who else have we got? So Scott Nolan in the pits. Sean Allen currently 4th for Race on Oz Racing, so that is looking good for their little battle with Trans Tasman Racing. 5th place is Glenn Postlethwaite with that incredible name, with a 53.6. So the full 7/10 behind the fastest man, Jake Moloney, and he is only in 5th. So that is a huge spread at the moment. Emily Jones in 6th place. I'd expect her to be higher up, so maybe she just hasn't been able to string together a fast enough lap, but she's going to want to get a wriggle on, because there's only 3 minutes and 45 seconds left in this session, Fluffman.
Just quickly as well, Kurt Stenberg has gone out on a second set of tyres, look to improve on his second position, and it looks like there are a few people making their way back out onto the track. Glenn Postlethwaite in 5th back on the track. Scott Nolan has gone back out on track. So we're going to be very busy again very shortly, I think.
Yeah, I guess that's the benefit of being a short lap, is that you can sort of leave it a little bit before jumping out to do a lap. You don't have to stress about making it around. As long as you give yourself about a minute, then you're probably fine.
Yeah, of course, 53-second lap around Barbagallo. So that 10-minute session, you can probably get 11 or 12 laps in if you're really pushing it. So a few green sectors are starting to pop up, especially towards the back of the field. I think Oz Rob's actually on a personal best lap he's currently in 19th position, looking to improve on that. And now he's been pushed down to 20th as he comes around the last corner. Let's see how he goes. Whereabouts? Ooh, and he improves, but doesn't improve his position. I just saw in the background of one of the shots, I think it was Kurt Stenberg spinning at the top of the hill. Absolutely,
yeah. He's just lost it there during that long sort of odd. It's an odd turn 6, because you've got a big elevation change in the corner itself while also trying to brake and get around the corner. So looks like he's just come unstuck, which won't help his lap time. This is definitely not going to be a fast one, but guess he's just got to reset and try to punch
have
in
another go.
Yeah, and Jake Moloney just that 52.9. That's he stamped his authority on the qualifying session with that one.
That's a Scott McLaughlin level lap right there.
He's absolutely insane. He'd be incredibly happy with that one. Maybe to make up a little bit from his DNF last time out. Ozrob improves again, but still not better than 19th. Who else have we got out there?
Scott Nolan just improved, but still not better than third. So he's gotten now to 900ths behind Kurt Stenberg.
Yeah, Kurt with not a fast first sector, slower than his previous best. So not looking like
I think he got well out of shape around turn 1. So he's probably looking to try and cycle the tires again and maybe have another go, or he might just pull straight into the pits. I mean, second's not that bad, right?
It's not that bad. Jake Moloney has had a bit of a history of having great starts, though. So he's Kurt's he's either gonna want to do it very well off the line, or he's gonna want to try to take that pole position away from Jake. Jake has been he's sort of been his own worst enemy in a lot of ways. He's sort of, anytime he's not won a race, it's because he's sort of gotten a bit out of shape trying to tussle when he hasn't needed to. Sorry, cut across myself. Kurt Stenberg currently up on his PB, but still a 10th slower than Jake Moloney through the first sector as he goes through turn 6. Not much movement further down. Sean Allen up into 5th. Brody Steen up into 6th. Glenn Postlethwaite is dropping positions like a
stone, but he's actually currently in Sector 3 on a personal best as well. So we could see Glenn recover a bit of ground as we watch Kurt come over the last corner curb and across the start-finish line, just outside his personal best, but still 4/10 down on Jake Moloney. And that is the end of qualifying. Time is now up. Is anyone still on a good lap? Maybe Corey Preston from 8th?
Looks
perhaps?
like Glenn Postlethwaite managed to sneak across the line before the flag dropped, so he's not setting the world on fire with his lap time thus far. Down on both first and his personal best. So
Brody Steen in 6th place is currently just coming around the last corner. He's on a PB at the moment.
That was a very wide line through the last corner. We see someone spin out in the background. Not sure who that was. That was Corey Preston. Lost it on the last corner. So that is a damn shame for him. Going to be stuck down in 8th.
Commentator's curse.
Absolutely. Shouldn't have said anything. Kurt Stenberg is still out there, but not going to better his lap time again. So a 53.9, a full second slower than Jake Moloney on that occasion. So
and just at the buzzer there, Glenn Postlethwaite put in a personal best of 53.5 to sneak ahead of Brody Steen into 6th place. So I think we've got only 2 more cars out there, and Nolan's coming into the pits.
Yeah, it looks as if they've all finished their laps, so they must just be on cooldown laps. So Jake Moloney, he did that lap pretty early on in the session. He only did 6 laps, and that's apparently all that he needed to do, Flatman.
Yeah. When you knock in a 52 and everyone else is in the mid to low 53s, you know you've got it absolutely perfect. So what a cracking lap from Jake Moloney, and he'll start from the head of the grid.
Fantastic. Well, while the server goes into warm-up, we might have a quick little pit stop of our own. I certainly need one. So we will be back with you in just a couple of moments. Don't go anywhere.
Well, welcome to the previous round recap brought to you by Apex Rear Wing. Qualifying for race 1 ended up being done twice due to server issues, but Darren managed to nab pole both times despite this small hindrance.
Well and truly fastest, 1:30.2.
It was a dramatic start to the race with Jake Moloney and Thomas McMillan fighting over second place after McMillan got a killer start. Further down the field, David Nedadich and Aidan Schultz were early casualties.
Aidan Schultz spearing off at the penultimate corner.
Meanwhile, up ahead, McMillan was pushing close to the limit and a small touch on the grass on the exit of Doohan Corner led to an impressive save that lasted almost the whole way through the southern loop. In the end, it cost him another position as Stenberg moved up to 4th. In the closing stages of the race, Stenberg closed down Ethan Warren for the final step on the podium but couldn't find a way through. Thomas McMillan closed up, making it a 3-car battle royale which sadly ended in tears for all except for Ethan Warren. He took the final place on the podium in controversial circumstances behind Dane Warren and Jake Moloney, with Thomas McMillan falling to 5th and Kurt Stenberg to 14th.
Kurt Stenberg is stuck out in the gravel.
Jake Moloney broke Dane Warren's pole streak to start race 2 at the front of the grid,
Great launch, actually.
but made a mistake which allowed Dane Warren through to the lead for the opening lap.
Absolute nightmare.
An error for championship leader Kurt Stenberg on the opening lap cost him 20 positions. Disaster struck for Dane Warren during the round of pit stops when he was forced to stack behind David Nedidich, costing him the lead of the race and dropping him back to 4th.
Oh, he can't get into his box. They share a grid box.
This left Ethan Warren and Thomas McMillan to fight over the win, with Jake Moloney closing them down all the time. It didn't take long for the three to converge for an almighty battle for the win. Unfortunately, a connection issue drops Jake Moloney out of the race and left Ethan Warren to defend from Thomas McMillan with no buffer. When Ethan Warren and Thomas McMillan collided, the seas parted for Dane Warren and he slid through to claim the lead of the race.
The position back, Dane Warren through and into the lead.
Thomas redressed second to Ethan and Kurt Stenberg held on to the lead of the championship after completing his recovery drive to 4th with an excellent pass on Glenn Postlethwaite late in the race.
Hello everybody and thank you for joining us.
Wherever you're watching,
Around the country, or indeed the world.
we're here in Kota,
Monaco, Sydney, Imola, Shanghai,
Albert Park,
Austria,
Suzuka.
Down the inside of Pablo, and there's been contact.
Spun out already.
They've had the double stack.
Tyres that you could dig them up and look at them on the fossil records.
It's the Usain Bolt of hairpins.
He's missing a rear tyre. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed your pit stop. I know I certainly did.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. Oh.
It was a lovely experience, but we are here with warm-up. 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Aiden Schultz, the only car out there circulating by the looks of it, so he's getting a little bit of track knowledge under his belt.
Colin Warnock as well, sorry, just to coming across to you on the last corner as well. So 1 or 2 cars out there.
Yeah, and probably not a bad idea, and they'd probably be having a bit of a driver's briefing as well. So how'd you find qualifying, Flabman?
About as frantic and as tight as the real deal, which is very good. It was, yeah, I think once Jake Moloney put in that 52, it was kind of like, okay, well, everyone's fighting for second now. But the gaps were really, really close further down. So I think we had 1 or 2 gaps less than 100th of a second. So exactly what you want to see at a track like this.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very tight. It couldn't have gone better for Jake Moloney, really, who's going to get a great start. Might quickly just go over the format of the race. So we've got one race, which is 25 laps. And then I lied when I said we have one race. We have 2 races. The first race is 25 laps. Second race, we will have qualifying again. And then 42 laps is the main event. So sort of mirroring the real-life supercars, but half the length, I think, Vlad.
Yep, exactly half the length.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I just completely guessed that as well. So I just want people to know that I guessed that and I got that correct.
Yeah, you're doing better than me. Let's put it that way. But we've got about just over a minute here, probably once the session changes shake out until we start the first race. So, what are your predictions, Flood? How do you think the first lap is going to go?
Oh, it's gonna be very tight into turn 1 and up the hill. It'll depend on how civil everyone is. One thing you definitely don't want to be, one place you definitely don't want to be is around the outside of, say, turn 4 or something like that. Because if the person on your inside is just a bit unkind, they might just shift you over into that very vast paddock that is the inside of the circuit. So if everyone's civil and everyone remembers that you don't get points for not finishing, fingers crossed, I hope we get through all right. But I wouldn't be surprised to see someone in the sand trap either at Cobb Corner turn 6 or in the wall at turn 7. I hope we don't, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Absolutely, there usually is a little bit of Rubbins racing going on in ASC. So let's hope that while there might be a little bit, because God knows we all have a little bit of a punt. We don't want to see anyone's race get ruined over it. A couple of people in the live chat asking where Dodger is. Dodger, a little bit of a celebrity with our live streams. He unfortunately did not make it out of the Super 2s, did not make the cut to progress to the main event. So we've switched over into the race session now. So everyone is sort of gridding up and getting ready to go. I'm going to have to blast my way through this grid once everyone's on the grid, because it's a pretty short lap, and we've got a lot of cars to get through. We've got 21 cars, in the server, from Jake Moloney all the way down to RSM Latino. So just waiting on them all to get out to the grid. Jake Moloney taking his sweet time. There he is. I was a little bit worried that he had a technical issue or something, like he crashed. His connection failed last time out, so he definitely, won't want that to happen again, because that definitely put a sour on his pole position. But he is starting from pole position, Jake Moloney in the TTL Esports ZB racing car, looking to take that championship lead from Kurt Stenberg, who is lining up second right behind him. Just couldn't match him in qualifying. Incredible lap time that Jake Moloney did put in. Scott Nolan continuing his fine form in third position in one of the Synergy Sim Racing cars. Colin Warwick in fourth position. Sort of been there or thereabouts throughout the season, but I think has had a lot of bad luck. Races just not going his way, unfortunately. Sean Allen in the Race on Oz racing car. He is going to want to take the fight to the Trans-Tasman guys, since they are currently battling quite closely over the championship. Glenn Postlethwaite in another Synergy Sim Racing car in sixth position. He's been sort of a dark horse, a couple of podium positions as well, so I would not be surprised to see him make up places. Brody Steen in the other Race on Oz racing car. He is also going to want to take the fight to the Trans-Tasman Racing guys, and probably a little bit out of position. I would have expected him to be a little bit further up. Corey Preston, we saw, had a unfortunate end to qualifying, just spinning it on that last corner, so it was looking like he was going to set a bit of a faster lap, but wasn't able to get it done, so that is a damn shame for him. Emily Jones in the other Trans-Tasman Racing car, probably starting very far back. I would expect her to be higher up than 9th. Going to have to hurry up here as a bit.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Zach Baker in 10th. Will Devonish in the Wall Race Engineering in 11th. Todd Parks in another Synergy Sim Racing in 12th. Jinx in 13th. Jay Borg 14th. David Nanadick in the other Zach Baker car 15th. Adam Zeitinger, Astra Altus Esports. Stephen Birchall, Termo, Ozrob, Hayden Schultz, and RSM Latino round out our grid. So we are all ready to race here in Barbagallo Motorsport Park. And
as the final cars sort their way onto the grid, I think Schultz actually just went over his grid space, so he's just backed in and gone back into the grid slot. And I think we're all ready for a race start here at the Barbagallo SuperNight.
Absolutely, I can hear the lights. There we go. We are green. Good start from Jake Moloney. Terrible start from Kurt Stenberg. Sorry, loses out to Colin Warwick before the first corner.
There's contact down the field. There's contact down the field between, I think it was, where's it gone? I think it was Corey Preston and one of the Trans-Tasman racing cars. But they managed to escape unscathed, and Jake Moloney is taking the field up towards turn 5 of the first lap.
Absolutely. 0.8 of a second already his gap to second place Colin Warwick. Kurt Stenberg just did not get off the line. Just sat there. Colin Warwick had to basically go full lock to get around him. Unfortunate for Kurt Stenberg, who is down to third place. Lucky he didn't lose more positions, really. Scott Nolan didn't have a good start either. Glenn Postlethwaite up a position into 5th over Sean Allen. Corey Preston ahead of Brody Steen, so he's gained a position as well. Emery Jones starting from 9th, currently still in 9th. I believe that would have been the car that had a tangle with Corey Preston, as you saw. But luckily doesn't seem to have cost either of them very much, as she is actually under attack by Zach Baker, who goes down the inside, a little bit of a tap, gets the position done. I'm not sure if she'll be too happy with that treatment. But
if she can stay on the inside into 4, she might be able to get that. Oh, there's a definite touch, and she's gone. She's gone. She's on the rear corner, and she's been speared across the track and has ended up in the kitty litter on the exit of turn 4. Now, I don't know about you, but I think it would have been wise for her to have stepped out of that. That was probably a move that might not have been on at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if she was given much room on the inside either. I couldn't see if she was up alongside or not. But
Oh, not big crash at the front, second and third. And Scott Nolan has gone straight into the back of Kurt Stenberg, heading into turn 7. I think Nolan missed his braking point.
Oh my God!
It's carnage.
Oh
there is
my
carnage
goodness!
At the back of the field.
Yes. So Todd Parks is sort of spun into the pits, which it looks as if he might have actually wanted to do that. Unfortunate for him, Jake Moloney just stretching this advantage, 2.4 seconds. He's that little yellow man running away from all the explosions in the background. Glenn Postlethwaite, I said he was a dark horse. He's up into second place as we have a penalty for Todd Parks. I'm guessing that's for speeding in the pit lane, which is a damn shame for him. But we'll see if we can get a replay, if I can make this replay system work, which it doesn't seem to want to. So we might have to deal without a replay. I do apologize for our viewers. Not sure what happened, but good. It just looked like
I was focused on that at the time. As I think it was Kurt. What's his name? Sorry, I'm still trying to learn the name. As Kurt Stenberg tried to go on the inside of Colin Warwick, Scott Nolan tried to follow him, missed his braking zone, and then just plowed into the back of Kurt Stenberg, and then took them both out. Colin Warwick went wide, came back onto the circuit. Another car made contact. It was just a bit of a mess down there at the last corner. And I think Scott Nolan is going to have to have a visit to the stewards after that one.
that is a damn shame. That was shaping up.
There's a spin from Corey Preston. Sorry to cut you off. Heading out of turn 5. Lucky he didn't hit anything from 7th position. He's just spun towards the inside of the track, done a full 360, and then got back on the gas. So, a lot of action in this first few laps.
Absolutely. Good Lord. I'm already sort of losing my voice. Kurt Stenberg, after all that, is shaken out. He is down in 14th position and being challenged by Colin Warwick. I'm guessing his car is not in great shape as he comes down the back straight. He is missing his bonnet. Where else? Who have we? Scott Nolan down in 18th position, so he certainly didn't make any time out of all that drama. And Todd Parks, the unfortunate beneficiary of a bit of a tap, I think, in the last corner, and then a speeding penalty in the pits, down in 21st place. So an action-packed first 5 laps here, Flood.
Yeah, and on top of that, a championship-defining few laps here with both Trans-Tasman cars running into issues. Emily Jones, of course, having that off at turn 4, and Kurt Stenberg having that issue in the final corner. They are well down the order, and so this could be a great opportunity for the likes of what's the other team? Race on Oz Racing to make a significant inroads to that championship battle.
Yeah, definitely. They, I don't think Trans-Tasman would have been expecting this to shake out the way that it has, with Emery Jones in 20th place after that tangle with David Nanadick, or Zach Baker, sorry.
And she's pulling off the circuit as well, and she's out, it looks like. No?
Let me just have a look. It looks as if she's... Oh, no, I couldn't hear much coming from that car, and it looks as if she has gone back to garage. No, she is still on the track. Car's still moving.
What an odd one.
What an odd. She might just be having some lag issues of her own. Oh, no, there we go. She has gone back to garage. So that is unfortunate for Trans-Tasman Racing. They were expecting to probably have a good haul at this race with... Emery Jones hasn't been able to attend for the last 3 rounds after a pretty dominant performance in the first round. So they were probably hoping to pull back some decent points on this race. And at the moment, it's not looking like it. Kurt Stenberg, the sole Trans-Tasman Racing runner still going, down in 15th place. Brody Steen and Sean Allen, the 2 Race on Oz guys, in 3rd and 4th position.
Yeah, big win for them if they can maintain that position. And I think there'll be a bit of a word to the stewards from the Trans-Tasman guys about how their race has gone today. I don't think they would appreciate the driving standards of those around them. Maybe not so much that first incident, but definitely with Kurt Stenberg, that was not something that he had much to do with, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. He was sort of just a passenger there and got caught out. So what's unfortunate for him, though, is quite fortunate for Jake Moloney, who is just... He's just sort of easing his way out there. He is 4 seconds up on second place Glenn Postlethwaite. And basically in a race of his own, he got out ahead of all the drama, was nowhere near it, and he's just sort of driving off into the distance at this stage.
He's doing it on easy mode. He gets pole position, gets out of the head of the field, and doesn't have to worry about anything going on behind him. He's doing the Scott McLaughlin strategy.
It's not too bad a strategy, I must say.
If you can do it, it's not too bad of a strategy.
Absolutely. I think it's also known as the Vettel strategy of just chuffing off into the distance. Glenn Postlethwaite, second place, 1.1 seconds over Sean Allen, but that is slowly closing down. But Sean Allen actually has Brody Steen quite close behind him, under a second. So there might be a little bit of a tussle between the Race on Oz guys here, or unless they're just going to want to bank some points at this stage. But not many drivers will intentionally, ease off just to get points for the team.
And they don't have the luxury to, because Zach Baker has made a move on Brody Steen into turn 1, and very, very clean move as well to take that 4th position. So Baker's getting involved in this battle as well, and that's actually stretched out the 2 Race on Oz guys and let Sean Allen maybe look more towards the front instead of just behind him. But Brody Steen, he looks to be struggling at the moment. He was not looking pacey when Baker has passed him, and he's not holding on to the back of Baker. So I think Brody Steen might have maybe a tire pressure problem or something, but he's not holding on to the back of Baker.
No, but Zach Baker is quite pacey. He's been on the road to getting some decent results in the past, and has just had them taken away from him by usually other people crashing into him, which is unfortunate. So I'm not surprised to see him sort of at the front. Looks as if Glenn Postlethwaite has had an issue. He has lost all of the time that he had over Sean Allen. Sean Allen is now right up behind him, 2/10. Saw them going side by side into the first corner. I would have a replay of it, but it looks as if I've gone into the wrong mode, so I do apologise for that. I'll make sure we have replays already for the second race.
That mistake must have been in Sector 2. He was at half a second slower in Sector 2 last round, as Sean Allen makes a mistake himself, out-braking himself into Cobb Corner, and he's right in the clutches now of Zach Baker. So now that battle for second has now become 3. It looks like Zach is just sizing up Sean Allen. Is he going to make a move? Oh, he definitely thought about it there.
He definitely did. He sort of ducked out of the slipstream, had a cheeky little look, and thought, you know what, I'm probably not going to pull this up in time, and thought better of it, which he's got plenty of opportunity. As Glenn Postlethwaite, just very slow through that first corner. He just takes a very wide line. I don't know if he's got problems or something, but he's taking some very strange lines through those first and second corners.
Oh, that's a little bit of nose to tail there as Glenn gets nudged a little wide. He's got the inside line to 5, but and Sean's on the outside. That's not where you want to be. They managed to get through side by side as they come into Cobb Corner. Glenn's still got the inside line. He manages to hold the inside line. Sean Allen's just on the outside, but Baker is right there with them, and it's as you were as they go down into the last corner yet again.
Absolutely. It looks like Sean Allen is pulled out of Glenn Postlethwaite's slipstream. He's going to have a go down into the last corner. He's up alongside, a little bit deep, a little bit of a tap, but they both get through without running wide, incredibly. Glenn Postlethwaite immediately on the attack, though, trying to go up the inside of the first corner. I don't think that's going to work out, and indeed
I don't think that was on the attack. I think that was on the defense. He was very compromised on the exit there, and Baker was having a real hot look down the inside. So I think it was a bit of column A, a little bit of column B for that one.
This is a tasty little train we've got going on here. It's like a sushi train or something. We've got Sean Allen, Glenn Postlethwaite, Zach Baker, Brody Steen, Will Devonish, all separated by about a minute. I thought a minute. Do apologise. A second is the word that I meant to use there.
Postlethwaite's off from 3rd position. He's now down into 6th. He's gone off at Cobb Corner. He's outbraked himself and gone straight into the kitty litter, and that has taken him out of that battle and dropped him now down into 8th position behind, I think that's Adam Zeitzinger,
I believe.
Zeitzinger and Corey Preston, that little battle which has been tussling on. So it was just one small mistake there, and he's gone straight off and lost everything from that battle.
Yeah, maybe he had a couple of lockups early in the race and we didn't catch them, and just took some life out of his tyres, because he just seemed to be taking some very strange lines, very wide lines, not hitting the apexes like you would expect him to. So that sort of seemed to be the culmination of a couple of laps worth of
damage. And if he's struggling on his tyres at this stage, he's got a long 12 laps left to go. And can you believe we're already halfway through this race?
I honestly can't. That's kind of flown. This is still a tasty little sushi train we've got going on here. Just 4 cars now. The sashimi fell off. So we've got Will Devonish with a decent start, up 6 positions into 5th place. So he is maybe looking at a cheeky podium here if he can keep his nose clean. These 4 sort of stretching out a little bit now, but still well within touching distance of each other. I would not want to make a mistake if I was one of these 3 cars.
No, it does look like it's calmed down a little bit. They've just sort of taken a second to just go, okay, let's sit down and just conserve for a second, because now this will be the battle for the minor podium places, because out in front, Jake Moloney has a 9.5 second lead over the rest of the field. So he is gone. So if they want to get on the podium, if they want to take this 2nd or 3rd position, they got to make sure they've got the tires to fight at the end, and that's going to be the important factor.
Absolutely, and Jake not letting off. He's just set a purple middle sector with his 10-second advantage out of the front. So he's definitely not put the Q in the rack. He is going to be dancing around in his cockpit. Just set the fastest lap of the race with a 53.6. So, and he's only a few seconds off the back of Kurt Stenberg, who is his main rival in the championship and is currently running last on track in 18th position. We've had 3 DNFs thus far. Ozrob, we missed a few laps ago, only 8 laps completed. Todd Parks, 5 laps completed, probably compounded by that drive-through penalty. And Emery Jones, not entirely sure why she DNF'd about 4 laps into the race, but she was definitely having some issues, so potentially some internet issues for Emery there.
Exactly right. The Kurt Stenberg is actually a further lap down as well.
Jake Moloney's off! Jake Moloney's off! He's gone off at the last corner. Directly on, has taken out his bonnet. He has lost the lead. He is in 2nd place, 3rd place, 4th place, 5th place.
He's gone, yeah.
Oh my goodness. As we were sort of wrapping him up, 6th place and about to be 7th place. As we were just in the process of wrapping him up, he has robbed himself of a great victory. Kurt Stenberg will be happy to see that. He just looked like he just completely outbroke himself into that last corner. Maybe he was pushing a little bit too hard.
Yeah, he did set a purple lap the previous lap. I can't believe that, honestly. And he's obviously got some damage because he spun it out of turn 4 and has parked it up on the exit of turn 4 on the left-hand side of the track, sorry. And that car does not look very pretty at all. What an absolute shame. Leading the lap. Remember, he was leading by 10 seconds heading into
massive
that corner.
advantage.
Yeah.
And just it's all gone. Well,
so now that battle we were talking about for 2nd place has become a battle for the top of the rostrum.
Absolutely. So
even more spicy.
Sort of spread out a little bit. We've got 1st and 2nd still quite close together. Zach Baker only 4/10 behind Sean Allen, and then about a 2.5 seconds back from that, we've got Brody Steen and Will Devonish tussling for the last place as Jake Moloney comes into the pits. So it was probably about a 1.5 laps away from lapping Kurt Stenberg. At this point, it looks as if Kurt Stenberg is actually going to overtake him while Jake Moloney pulls into the pits to fix damage. Those are very long stops for damage in Automobilista, so I can't believe that, to be honest. That is incredible, and Kurt Stenberg, also missing a bonnet, will be incredibly happy with that result, I imagine, as he sweeps through the first corner and takes that position.
Well, there you go. That's all we can really say.
Definitely.
That's how quickly it can change.
Definitely. You think a 10-second lead you'd think is somewhat insurmountable unless you have a major issue. Unfortunately,
and that was a major issue.
Did have a major issue.
The definition of a major issue. And he's going to come out just ahead of this battle for 9th position. 7th and 8th position between Glenn Postlethwaite and Jinx. Both of them have looked to be struggling with their tires. They're oversteering in and out of corners, especially in turn 6 as well as they bring the power up, and they're wiggling around. So I wonder if he's gonna have an effect on this battle, as he's popped out just ahead of Adam Zeitzinger, sorry. So maybe not of an effect on this battle, but it's interesting to see how much the tire wear is having an issue on some of the cars lower down the field.
I misspoke. Kurt Stenberg was already actually a couple of laps down, presumably from repairing his own damage. So it is now Jake Moloney 17th, Kurt Stenberg 18th. And it doesn't look as if Kurt is close enough to overhaul that. So at the moment, Kurt not finishing ahead of Jake Moloney, but definitely not losing as many points to him as it was looking like he was 2 laps ago.
Yeah, well, a win compared to a 17th is a significant amount of points. So that's
to say the least.
If you want to get wrapped up in someone else's accident, you want to do it on the race where your direct competitor has his own accident. So a little bit of luck there as we head back to the head of the field, because it looks like this battle for the lead has hotted up entirely as Zach Baker goes down the inside of Sean Allen into the last corner. Now he's got the inside line for the first corner, but he hasn't got that much of a run. So Sean Allen moves over to take the racing line ahead of Zach Baker, and they go again as they head up the hill into the darkness.
Absolutely, yeah. Very clean through the last corner, but just wasn't able to take as much speed through it as Sean Allen did, as you rightly called. So Sean Allen able to hold on to that first position. Meanwhile, behind, it looks as if Will Devonish has had maybe a bit of a drama, because he has dropped 2 seconds now behind Brody Steen in his challenge for the 3rd position on the podium. Looking like it's going to be a race on Oz podium at the moment, with Zach Baker either squeezed in between or maybe standing above them.
Just ahead. Yeah, it doesn't look like...
Oh, I thought that was gonna be a horrible accident, but
it was close. It
managed to
was
pull
close.
it up.
Just quickly on Devonish, it doesn't look like he's had a major incident or a major mistake. He just let his times drop out a little bit. So we're getting towards the end of the race. Only 4 laps left in this race now, this crazy race that we've called. But yeah, it looks like a few people are just struggling with tires or other ailments and are looking to get to the finish and consolidate some high positions. I think Will, especially starting down at 11th, that might be on his agenda. But
Absolutely.
at the front, it's all about this race win as they come back down into turn 7 again. Oh, turn 6, sorry.
Yep. No. So Jake. Oh my God, I can't speak. Zach Baker is gonna want to set up to have a go down into turn 7. Through turn 6, he's right in the slipstream. He's got a good run down, up, and alongside. Sean Allen squeezing him a tiny bit. Zach Baker through on the last corner, but just again, Sean Allen able to take that more speed around the outside of the corner, and Zach Baker has to squeeze in behind. So I reckon
Zach is being very kind. He could take just a braking just like a minuscule amount of time later, and he would be enough ahead to claim the apex and not have to worry about where Sean Allen is, because he's so concentrating on not making contact there. He's actually giving the rest of the racing line to Sean as he exits the corner. So he's being very kind, and I don't think he needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. He could definitely run a little bit wider on that last corner. I reckon he might try to have a go down the outside, but Sean Allen's not letting him have any of it. He knows that the inside doesn't seem to be working out for Zach Baker, as looks like he's not close enough to have a go this lap. So he's only got a couple more laps to have that win in his folder. I don't know what I'm talking about. Just starting lap 23, so 2 laps to go after this one. So he's gonna have to make this position.
Sorry to jump over you, but they are coming up to the back of the field. Termo is just ahead of him in 16th position, and that could throw a bit of a spanner into the works, especially... Oh, actually, he just spins out, so that might make it a little easy for them. Okay, there you go. Play on.
Absolutely. Oh, Zach, very, very close there behind Sean Allen. Looks like he slammed on the brakes a little bit just to avoid tapping him. Might have given him a little bit of a nudge, but... all of that, he's lost about 3/10, I reckon, through that little accident, and he's going to have to reset and try all over again. He was way too close going through turn 6 and just outbroke himself a bit, I think.
Yeah, inside front lock up for Zach Baker there heading into Cobb Corner, and it's very easy to do because as you go that corner, you're going downhill and it's turning a bit of a bowl, so you're actually, the inside front tire is completely unloaded, so if you're on the brakes a bit too hard, it's very easy to lock up, and he was very lucky to get away with it.
Yeah, definitely. He's only got the 1.5 laps to get this job done if he wants to get it done. Honestly, second position wouldn't be a bad finish for him, but what racer wants to settle for second position when they've got first position tantalizingly close in front of them?
Yeah. And the way he's going to get the move done is he's going to get it done here, and he's not going to get it done like that. He's got to get the power on just the right way to make sure he gets the run down into turn 7, and he's not going to be able to do it if he's spinning the wheels like we just saw.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to have to be a lot tidier, which he might have a bit of a struggle with. He's only got 1 lap to go. We're starting the final lap of the race. This has flown by. I know they're short laps, but good lord. Sean Allen through in the lead for the last lap. Probably wasn't expecting that. Up 4 positions from his starting position in 5th. Zach Baker in 2nd. Tantalizingly close to that first step on the podium. Up 8 positions from his start. And Brody Steen, in comparison, a distant 3rd. Almost 4 seconds behind. But all eyes are on the leaders here as Zach Baker very close through turn 6. Gets on the power.
He was trying to set Sean Allen up through turn 6, but he got so sideways coming out of 4, couldn't get the power down. This is going to be his last chance, and I don't think he's close enough. He has a look, but Sean Allen's got the main line, and he's going to come around the last corner, rides that curve very nicely, and he's going to come across the line to take the first race of the Barbagallo SuperNight here at AMS Supercars. Congratulations.
Absolutely fantastic race there from Sean Allen and Zach Baker. Brody Steen coming across to take that 3rd position. Will Devonish in 4th. Up a massive amount. Yes, 7 places from his starting position. Corey Preston 5th. Adam Zeitinger in 6th. And looks as if Glenn Postlethwaite just doing a little bit of a burnout there around the first corner. Good recovery up to 7th, considering his the issues that he did have during that battle. Jinx in 8th. Colin Warwick in 9th.
Remember, he got taken out at turn 7 on the 2nd lap, Colin Warwick, in that tangle with, who was that? Let me just, I think it was Scott Nolan and Kurt Stenberg. So a good recovery drive from Colin Warwick.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of, Scott Nolan ended up in 14th place and Kurt Stenberg down in 18th. Jake Moloney managed to make a couple of overtakes in the dying laps up into 15th place. So a handful more points than he would have gotten had he finished down there in 17th, but still definitely not the result he would have been expecting to have, considering the 10-second lead he had early on in the race.
That's just a race thrown away, honestly. 10 seconds, like that turn 7 at Barbagallo isn't easy, but when you're that far ahead, when you have that little pressure, you shouldn't make a mistake like that.
Definitely. We've got the 3 podium sitters lining up at the end of the pit lane, so good on them as everyone sort of jerks to a stop behind them. That's inelegant. But excellent work from Race on Oz. A very good return for Race 1, I would say, with 1st and 3rd on the podium. They might even take the lead over Trans-Tasman Racing with that.
Well, considering Trans-Tasman took home an 18th and a donut, I would be surprised if they didn't. So congratulations to the 2 Race on Oz cars. Fantastic race for them. And congratulations to Zach Baker as well, taking that 2nd position.
Yeah, definitely.
Great battle at the end as well.
Very, fantastic battle. Very, it was kept us guessing till the end, which is what we want. So, fantastic that there were no lag issues there during that race. It looks as if this new system of splitting the field into Super 2 and Super 1, I guess, has worked out. No lag issues whatsoever. So fantastic news for all of our many Automobilista Supercars fans, as our session is switching into the 2nd race qualifying now. Will it be redemption for Jake Moloney and Kurt Stenberg? We'll have to wait and see. We'll have a quick little break here, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you on the other side.
Well, welcome to the previous round recap brought to you by Apex Rear Wing. Qualifying for race 1 ended up being done twice due to server issues, but Dane Warren managed to nab pole both times despite this small hindrance.
Well and truly fastest, 1:30.2.
It was a dramatic start to the race with Jake Moloney and Thomas McMillan fighting over 2nd place after McMillan got a killer start. Further down the field, David Nederditch and Aiden Schultz were early casualties.
Oh, Aiden Schultz spearing off at the penultimate corner.
Meanwhile, up ahead, McMillan was pushing close to the limit and a small touch on the grass on the exit of Dewan corner led to an impressive save that lasted almost the whole way through the southern loop. In the end, it cost him another position as Stenberg moved up to 4th. In the closing stages of the race, Stenberg closed down Ethan Warren for the final step on the podium but couldn't find a way through. Thomas McMillan closed up, making it a 3-car battle royale which sadly ended in tears for all except for Ethan Warren. He took the final place on the podium in controversial circumstances behind Dane Warren and Jake Moloney, with Thomas McMillan falling to 5th and Kurt Stenberg to 14th.
Kurt Stenberg is stuck out in the gravel.
Jake Moloney broke Dane Warren's pole streak to start race 2 at the front of the grid,
Great launch, actually.
but made a mistake which allowed Dane Warren through to the lead for the opening lap.
Absolute nightmare.
An error for championship leader Kurt Stenberg on the opening lap cost him 20 positions. Disaster struck for Dane Warren during the round of pit stops when he was forced to stack behind David Nederditch, costing him the lead of the race and dropping him back to 4th.
Oh, he can't get into his box. They share a grid box.
This left Ethan Warren and Thomas McMillan to fight over the win, with Jake Moloney closing them down all the time. It didn't take long for the three to converge for an almighty battle for the win. Unfortunately, a connection issue drops Jake Moloney out of the race and left Ethan Warren to defend from Thomas McMillan with no buffer. When Ethan Warren and Thomas McMillan collided, the seas parted for Dane Warren and he slid through to claim the lead of the race.
The position back, Dane Warren through and into the lead.
Thomas redressed second to Ethan and Kurt Stenberg held on to the lead of the championship after completing his recovery drive to 4th with an excellent pass on Glenn Postlethwaite late in the race.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us.
Wherever you're watching, around the country, or indeed the world. We're here in Kota, Monaco,
Sydney, Imola, Shanghai,
Albert Park,
Austria,
Suzuka.
Down the inside of Pablo,
Oh,
and there's been contact.
Spun out already.
They've had the double stack.
Tyres that you could dig them up and look at them on the fossil records.
So-
It's Usain Bolts of hairpins.
He's missing a rear tyre. Welcome back, everybody. We're just waiting here for the second qualifying session of the night to start up. Got a couple of people out on track doing some circulating laps, but what are your thoughts on the first race there, Flood? How did you find it all? As I noticed that on the commentator screen that's just popped up, we've got Ben Rhodey Rhodes. You are not Ben Rhodey Rhodes. You are Flood Man, and you were doing fantastically, my friend. What did you think about the first race?
Oh, thank you very much. It was frantic. I'll put it that way. Boy, did that 25 minutes go past very quickly. They don't hold back, do they?
Absolutely not. No, they take it pretty seriously. They're all any advantage they can take, and they wringing the neck of the cars is something that they do week in, week out. So. Yeah, as someone that previous to these guys mostly had experience commentating for our own Apex Rear Wing League, and we're all sort of, well, I don't want to say bad, but but definitely not on the same level.
Suboptimal.
Yeah, let's go with that. And Automobilista Australia, where you've got plenty of good guys, but a lot of these guys come from iRacing or are just very, very quick, and alien really is the correct term. So when you see some of the racing that they do, it's just it's awe-inspiring to behold.
Exactly right. And some of the battling through the first part where we had Brody Steen and Sean Allen and Zach
Baker.
What's his last? Baker, yes. And Will Devonish all together in a group of 4, the way that they were tussling in and out along with Glenn Postlethwaite, it was top quality stuff, and it's exactly the sort of stuff I want to see as a race fan. It's perfect.
Fantastic. Had a couple of comments that I missed in the live chat, so do apologise for that. We had my usual commentary compatriot Stairs point out that it looks as if Todd Parks did a James. James is the guy that races with us at Apex Rear Wing, and he did a pit stop instead of doing his drive-through, so that's potentially why he DNF'd due to a disqualification. You'd think that drive-through is self-explanatory, but honestly, people struggle with it. So
Well, I've seen some of the best in racing worldwide struggle with it. I saw, for those who watch a lot of sport car racing, Guy Smith, I think it was last year at Monza, he got black flagged and decided to just do a drive-through. And then they were like, no, you're disqualified.
No, you're done,
You
mate.
yeah, you're done. So that was one of the weirder things I've seen on a racetrack. So even the pros mess it up. It's fine.
Absolutely.
We're all here to have fun, right? This is a computer game, right? This is how this works.
It's just a game. Why you have to be mad?
Exactly right.
Speaking of pros, well, not quite, but we've got Jake Moloney in the chat. He says, looks like I'll try to avoid the last corner curb glitch this race. So that's interesting. I really wish that I hadn't launched into the wrong session so we could have had a replay of that. So it looks as if he might have had a issue with that last curb that flung him off the track or something similar. Would like to have a chat to him post-race about that. Hopefully it wasn't 100% that. Hopefully it was, 50 of himself and yeah, exactly, yeah. So that'd be a horrible way to have your race ripped away from you if it was a glitch. But we are here in qualifying session number 2. Looks as if no one is out on track as of yet. But
We are just waiting to start. I think Corey Preston is headed to the end of the lane, ready to go.
he absolutely is. Yep, he is sitting there. Might get you to when we are live for a hot lap. Might get you to walk us through it with your better track knowledge than mine.
Here we go.
But he's all lined up and ready to go. Looks like Scott Nolan behind him. Usually one of the first ones to get out there. Might want to do a little bit of practice braking into that last corner, following other cars, following that first race. I don't think he'd be too happy to watch that replay back, so it was probably a good thing that I don't have the replay to show him.
Someone saw it. I definitely saw it, so it's recorded in my memory forever.
I'm a car in the live chat saying, yeah, there is a tiny hole in the track at the start of the ripple strip on the last corner. So that was potentially what Jake Moloney was referring to. Also got Scott Nolan saying, thanks, Madbird. Do apologise, mate. I'm just following what Flood said, so blame him. I love you, man, and I think you're a fantastic racer. Just let's have a better one this time around, I guess.
I appreciate you throwing me under the bus, Madbird.
That's okay. I do it. That's what I do best. Glenn Postlethwaite has jumped Corey Preston, so he is now the front man on track. So he's currently heading down the back straight towards the last corner. He's warming those tyres very aggressively, but let's jump on board with him for a lap of Barbagallo. Take it away, Flood.
So we're just exiting the final corner now as Glenn Postlethwaite steps on that exit curb and crosses the front straight. Heading down to turn 1, it's a really tough braking zone. You're in about second gear here as he slides through that first part of the corner, and then you're all uphill here as you hit the curb on the left for 2 and then on the right for 3. Big crest here as you dive down into turn 4. Trying to steer that car back up the hill, so you're always struggling with understeer here as he gets a little bit of oversteer, bringing the throttle up for turn 5. Now you're downhill into turn 6 here, Cobb Corner. You've got to trail the brake a long way into the corner because the apex is only where that curb is, just on the right. So bring the throttle up really gently here because you don't want to slide on the exit here. You kill that left rear tire. Coming back over the top of the hill, now into turn 7, the hardest braking zone in V8 Supercars. You brake while still downhill, and then the track comes back uphill to meet you as you hit that curve on the right-hand side, ride the curve on the left, and that is about 54.2 second lap of Barbagallo Raceway.
Fantastic work. Excellently done. Glenn Postlethwaite, briefly top of the leaderboard, immediately taken away from him by... Well, I'm not going to bother saying people's names because it's just going to keep happening. But Dan Ackland, currently the fastest man on track with a 53.8, which we know is not the fastest that these cars can do. Jake Moloney, I imagine, is going to want to hop out there and bang in another 52.9 or even faster if he's able to. That was a stonking lap. We do have Scott Nolan saying, mate, it was very amateur. I'm starting rear of the grid. He spoke to Kurt, apparently.
I feel like that is the correct course of action. So props to Scott for taking that on the chin and starting from the back of the grid.
Absolutely. It unfortunately happens to all of us. I've definitely taken people out of races and it's a bad feeling. So yeah, good effort, and probably better to do it in race. Better to do your penalty in race than carry it onto a further round and cost yourself. Kurt Stenberg has gone fastest on the track with a 53.5. Jake Moloney's still in the pits, so he's going to want to get out there and knock in a lap time.
Still 6 minutes 40 seconds left. That's about 7 laps if you're pushing it. It's definitely got the time to do it. I wouldn't be too stressed if I was Jake Moloney at this point, especially considering he put in a 52 last time around. Let's not forget, and no one else is anywhere near that point currently. Oh, as we have a yellow flag on track, I think it's David and Nadik is just slowing down, heading into the last corner, probably just giving some room. Oh, Dan Auckland's off the track as well at turn 6. So a few people really pushing it at this stage, trying to improve their grid position.
Yeah, definitely. It's this is the main one, 42 laps. So I guess it doesn't really. I don't want to say it doesn't matter where you start, but as we saw in the first race, starting positions can become irrelevant very quickly, depending on the events of the first couple of laps. As Dan Ackland jumps into the pits, Scott Nolan out onto the track. He is going to qualify, but I'm not sure if he's going to be bumped down to the back of the grid by the admins. Following that, Jake Moloney's still in the pits. I don't know. I'm the sort of guy that would want to get out there and bang in a lap early, because the pressure of having to perform at the last moment would be far too much for me, Flood. I'd want to have been out there by now.
Are you a bit shy on the spotlight?
Absolutely, yeah. I definitely. I'm very gun shy. Just speaking of, Jake Moloney, going to see what I can do from last in this one. So Jake Moloney starting from last place. Not sure.
That's bold.
Yeah, that is bold. I mean, good on you, I guess. I'm not sure how that'll go for your championship. Sorry, go
quickly.
ahead.
Zeitzinger, on a good lap, green to sector 1. He threw it away through turn 4, getting on the gas way too hard and spinning it towards the turn 5, away from the turn 5 apex. So not the best way to try and consolidate on a PV from Adam Zeitzinger. I just saw that in the background of one of the shots I was looking at.
No problems at all. Extra pairs of eyes make light commentary. That didn't roll off the tongue. Yes.
Maybe, no.
There you go. Light work makes more sense.
It doesn't look like anyone is banging in anything exceptional at this point in time. A few personal best sectors, but nothing trending towards more the purple side of things at this stage. So we're coming to a bit of a lull where a lot of guys are coming out in their second set of tyres, in which we've got a bit of a traffic jam. Brody Steen, Colin Warwick, and was that Kurt Stenberg? Actually, Stenberg making contact with Corey Warwick in the pit lane.
Yeah, Colin Warwick, I think so.
I got there in the end.
You got there. They all start with C, and there is a Corey in the field as well, so I would be confused. I think it was actually. Yeah, it looked like a little bit of a love tap there between the two admins on the exit of the pits. Sure, that's all kosher. I hope. But as you say, yeah, no purple sectors set for a while. Not since Kurt's fastest lap, quite a few laps ago at this stage. And about half the field in the pits.
I wonder if people are suffering from a little bit of tyre drama. I saw in the game chat, Glenn Postlethwaite make the mention that he forgot to change tyres between qualifying and the race, which is why he was struggling so much.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. So it might be the issue that they might be running low on their tyre bank and thinking towards the end of the race where I think you've got to make a compulsory pit stop. Oh, as Devonish finds the wall on the exit of 5. Because you've got to make a compulsory pit stop in this race, I would expect they might be looking to conserve a little bit for that last stint in the race.
Absolutely. Just got a quick little replay here of Stephen Birchall going very deep there at the last corner, straight into the wall, and losing a tyre. If that happens in the race, then you are out, my friend. So let's hope that doesn't happen. See if I can see what these people are talking about with a hole in the curbing at the last corner. I can't see anything on the replay, so not entirely sure. Hopefully, it doesn't crop up again. Let's just leave it at that for now.
Fingers crossed. Just quickly, Zach Baker with a purple sector 1 and personal best for the final 2 sectors puts in a 53.3 to go second behind Kurt Stenberg, who did improve on his 53.5, now at a 53.36. And he looks like he's going on with it as well. A 15.9 second sector 2, which is very impressive numbers. Anything under a 15 in sector 2 is looking towards the head of the grid. And he could be on for another lap here. Purple sector 3 and just doesn't improve. A 53.5 for Kurt Stenberg.
That is achingly close for Zach Baker. 0.03 of a second behind Kurt Stenberg. It looks like he's going on for another lap, but sort of misjudged his turn in on the first corner. So I don't think this will be a particularly quick one, unfortunately. But he is so close to that pole position.
On that note, though, Kurt Stenberg is also on another lap and is, I think, just over a 10th quicker to the first sector, and he's coming down towards the back. But he's lost a few tenths coming out of turn 6 and has aborted the lap. It looks like.
Yeah, if he hasn't, then he certainly must know something we don't, because he's very slow through that last straight, probably warming the brakes up a bit as he starts another flying lap.
Looks like even Dan Ackland is on a green first sector, and he's followed it up with a green sector 2. He's currently on a 54.0. So if he's looking to move further up the grid, this would be a good opportunity. Oh, he gets very wide on that last corner from 4th position and crosses the line only 100th outside of his PB. So if he didn't mess up that last corner, he would have been odds on to move up the grid. And he even set a purple last sector, so
by 1,000th of a second.
Wow, yeah.
Massively
very
close.
tight.
Kurt Stenberg was up in his first sector, but is now down through his second sector, so it doesn't look like he's going to improve. And his closest rival, Zach Baker, is in the pits and not setting any more laps, as we have just run out of time. Just clicked over
Dan
to 0.
Auckland, just to cut in over the top of you, is on a purple first sector, but he's running into certain traffic. He's just behind Scott Nolan as he's coming down the hill. Personal best for sector 2. He is only a 10th away from a potential pole time. If he replicates his final sector, he could be on here. Much better exit out of the last corner and crosses the line and doesn't improve his position. Moves up, improves his time, but not his position. 4 thousandths of a second, behind Sean Allen, who we're expecting to be at the back of the grid anyway.
First, second, third, fourth, and fifth covered by 0.2 of a second. That is incredibly close. Oh, Sean Allen! Oh my goodness! As we said this, Sean Allen crosses the line with a 53.31 to take away pole position from Kurt Stenberg at the very last gasp. Incredible effort there.
Wow.
Blistering.
and just to round out on the last few laps, Glenn Postlethwaite actually spun it in the last corner and ended up stranded across the final corner's curb, which meant that all the guys who were looking to improve on their last lap couldn't. So that was a little bit of bad luck for a few of those guys on that last lap. But what a lap from Sean Allen just to steal it at the death with
Absolutely.
a 53.3.
Yeah, good lord. What I said still technically stands. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth, all covered by 0.2 of a second. Dan Ackland 0.193 seconds behind Sean Allen, so very close up at the top. This is going to be a very spicy meatball to watch the start of this race with 5 guys who are all roughly equal on pace. I'd say 0.2 across a 53-second lap is probably pretty bloody close. It's hard to gain more time than that on a lap this short. There's not too much you can do. So it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully Kurt gets a better start than he did on the first race and manages to take it to Sean Allen.
That would make for a very, very good race for the first few laps, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm quite excited, I'm not going to lie.
Absolutely. We might have another quick pit stop here while we're in warm-up, because I've been my throat's been sore, so I've been drinking water and I need it again. So we will be back in a few moments, but don't you go anywhere. We've got race 2 coming up right after this.
Well, welcome to the previous round recap, brought to you by Apex Rear Wing. Qualifying for race 1 ended up being done twice due to server issues, but Dane Warren managed to nab pole both times despite this small hindrance.
well and truly fastest, 1:30.2.
It was a dramatic start to the race, with Jake Moloney and Thomas McMillan fighting over second place after McMillan got a killer start. Further down the field, David Nederditch and Aiden Schultz were early casualties.
Oh, Aiden Schultz spearing off at the penultimate corner.
Meanwhile, up ahead, McMillan was pushing close to the limit, and a small touch on the grass on the exit of Dewan corner led to an impressive save that lasted almost the whole way through the southern loop. In the end, it cost him another position as Stenberg moved up to fourth. In the closing stages of the race, Stenberg closed down Ethan Warren for the final step on the podium but couldn't find a way through. Thomas McMillan closed up, making it a three-car battle royale, which sadly ended in tears for all except for Ethan Warren. He took the final place on the podium in controversial circumstances behind Dane Warren and Jake Moloney, with Thomas McMillan falling to 5th and Kurt Stenberg to 14th.
Kurt Stenberg is stuck out in the gravel.
Jake Moloney broke Dane Warren's pole streak to start race 2 at the front of the grid,
Great launch, actually.
but made a mistake which allowed Dane Warren through to the lead for the opening lap.
Absolute nightmare.
An error for championship leader Kurt Stenberg on the opening lap cost him 20 positions. Disaster struck for Dane Warren during the round of pit stops when he was forced to stack behind David Nederditch, costing him the lead of the race and dropping him back to 4th.
Oh, he can't get into his box. They share a grid box.
This left Ethan Warren and Thomas McMillan to fight over the win, with Jake Moloney closing them down all the time. It didn't take long for the three to converge for an almighty battle for the win. Unfortunately, a connection issue drops Jake Moloney out of the race and left Ethan Warren to defend from Thomas McMillan with no buffer. When Ethan Warren and Thomas McMillan collided, the seas parted for Dane Warren and he slid through to claim the lead of the race.
The position back, Dane Warren through and into the lead.
Thomas redressed second to Ethan, and Kurt Stenberg held on to the lead of the championship after completing his recovery drive to 4th with an excellent pass on Glenn Postlethwaite late in the race.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us.
Wherever you're watching, around the country, or indeed the world, we're here in Kota, Monaco,
Sydney, Imola, Shanghai, Albert Park, Austria, Suzuka.
Down the inside of Pablo, and there's been contact.
Spun out already.
They've had to double stack.
Tyres that you could dig them up and look at them on the fossil records.
so Usain Bolts of hairpins.
He's missing a rear tyre. Welcome back, everybody, to the Perth SuperNight. Just watching Kurt Stenberg here, missing out on pole by a couple of hundredths of a second to Sean Allen, who banged in a incredible lap time right at the death. Kurt Stenberg robbing us of some vision of him going around the track there and going back to the pits. So thanks for that, Kurt. We'll jump around and see if we can find someone else to look at. Meanwhile, Flood, how did you find that qualifying session, and what do you reckon is going to happen come the race now that you've seen how these guys tackle things?
Well, I think Kurt will be very disappointed to not have a pole position after setting 2 fantastic laps in each of the sessions and being gifted second both times. What a lap from Sean right at the death to take that pole position. That was stellar.
It was. Stellar is a good word for it. That came out of nowhere. I think caught us both by surprise. And we were busy wrapping up Kurt Stenberg, which we should really stop doing because we did that to Jake Moloney as well, and look what happened. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Classic commentator's curse.
Classic, absolutely classic. So the top 5 separated by less than 0.2 of a second. So I'm expecting Zach Baker to be making a real play for the win this time around. Was tantalisingly close in the first race, just those few tenths away, and never able to make that position over Sean Allen. But Sean Allen just showing he has got some pace around here. It wasn't just race pace. He has 1 lap pace as well. Kurt Stenberg unable to match it.
Yeah, and it's. I hope Kurt has a better race this race, because he was very unlucky in the first instance to not get that chance to get involved in that lap 2 incident. So if Kurt has a bit of a cleaner start, we could see, especially with the longer race, we could see it play out where someone with more consistency could get towards the front. And judging by Kurt's laps in qualifying, he definitely has the consistency. It's a matter of just staying out of other people's drama.
Absolutely, which can be difficult depending on what the drama is and who's causing it. it can be sort of difficult to keep yourself out of it, especially when it's coming at you at a pace from behind. It was an interesting sentence that I wasn't expecting to say tonight, but there we go. So we are just about ready here to kick off the race session. Warm-up has just ticked down, so we'll be going to grid in uno momentos, which is a contradiction. And Jake Moloney, as we said during qualifying, starting from last on the grid. So not sure if that was just a bit of frustration there, or if he's penalising himself for something, or I'm not sure. But looks as if everyone...
Maybe he just thinks he's good.
Well, he doesn't need to think he's good. We know he's good. We've got everyone here jumping out onto the pits. Out onto their grid slots, with Sean Allen heading up the position with pole position. Heading up the position with pole position.
Hot.
Thank you. Ready for 42 laps here. Looking like about 40 minutes once we take into account pit stops, which should be a thing that occurs on this race. We would hope so anyway. I don't think it's possible to make it to the end on starting fuel and tyres.
Based on the tyre degradation, you'll be able to get to the end, I don't think, without losing bucket loads of time.
Absolutely. So, Bloodman, how about you take us through the grid?
I actually can't at the moment because my game...
Oh my goodness.
So I sent you a few messages.
You did.
I'm
Do apologise.
Now.
My bad. I did know that, and I just completely forgotten. I will take us through the grid. We have Sean Allen, winner of the first race, starting the second race from pole position, giving himself the best opportunity to continue as he began. Kurt Stenberg in second place, robbed of that pole position right at the death. Zach Baker, nearly tantalisingly the winner last time out, in third position. Glenn Postlethwaite up into fourth. Good recovery from him. Hopefully remembered to change his tyres between sessions this time around. Dan Ackland in fifth position, ahead of Corey Preston. Brody Steen down in seventh. Scott Nolan in eighth after all that. Colin Warwick in ninth. Will Devonish 10th. David Anadick 11th. Adam Zeiting at 12th with some issues in qualifying. Jinx in 13th. Stephen Birchall with a lost wheel in qualifying, which luckily has been repaired, in 14th position. Todd Parks 15th. Hopefully no drive-through penalties this time around. Jay Borg in 16th. Aidan Schultz 17th. Termo in 18th. Oz Rob in 19th again. RSM Latino in 20th. And Jake Moloney, championship protagonist Jake Moloney, starting in 21st position. Back of the grid, which I don't think any of us were expecting. We'll have to see how he can recover from there, if indeed he can recover at all.
So is Scott Nolan still taking up 8th position? Is that still going to be the plan, or is he going to...
It appears so, yeah. He's gridding up in that position, and it hasn't been overturned or moved or anything like that. So I guess we will be moving on to the stewards will be adjudicating after the race any issues. So we are all gridding up here on the grid, which seems like a
good place to grid up.
It seems like a good place to grid up. I approve of it for sure, as it looks like we're all ready to go here. Everyone gridded up. I can hear the lights. 3 lights, 4 lights, and we're out. Good start there from Sean Allen. Terrible start from Kurt Stenberg again, but manages to get off the line at least this time around. Sean Allen in first position. Zach Baker up the inside of the first corner. Has he got the job done? Looks like he has. No, he hasn't. He's had to slot in behind Kurt Stenberg. So line astern for the first few runners. And Corey Preston up 2 positions, up into 4th from the start. So bad starts from Dan Ackland and Glenn Postlethwaite. That is a damn shame for them. Corey Preston into 4th position. So excellent start for the JMSR racing driver. But
Kurt Stenberg got very lucky there. He had a shocking start, and how he managed to come out of that start in 2nd place, I have no idea. It was an absolute... He went absolutely nowhere, but somehow he managed to get to the first corner in 2nd position. Absolutely.
He seems to be making a habit of that. He also had a shocking start in the first race, but managed not to lose any positions out of it. He might be gaining a position here. He's down the inside at turn 1 on Sean Allen. He's not quite alongside, isn't able to have a dive down the inside. He is relegated back to 2nd position again, but pressuring Sean Allen early in this race.
Yeah, very. They've already made a bit of a split ahead of the field. It's a solid second to third place, which is Zach Baker. As the tyres start to come up to temperature and pressure. As Kurt just runs a little wide there on the exit of turn 5, heading down to the bowl. But yeah, they still far enough ahead to be safe to start their own sort of argument for later on.
Hopefully, it's a very civil argument.
We've got a spinner. Zetzinger in 10th position. He's dropping down the order now. He's down in, I think, 20. Oh, he's all the way at the back of the field.
Oh,
he's
no.
just spun on the exit of turn 5. Turn 6. Looked to try and take a little too much throttle on the exit there and just looped it around and is now at the back of the field.
Oh, he got a tiny bit of a help. He managed to swap up the inside of Stephen Birchall, and as Stephen took the corner, he just gave him the barest little tap on the back corner, and I think he was going to go around regardless, but that certainly didn't help him out, unfortunately.
Just sent him off the end.
Absolutely, and now down in 21st, as you said, almost 9 seconds behind 20th position man RSM Latino, so that is a damn shame for the Astro Altus Esports driver. Hasn't had a fantastic beginning to his Automobilista Supercars career. Back at the front, 7/10 between Sean Allen and Kurt Stenberg. Not David Nenadick. He's the other Zach Baker racing driver. Zach Baker, the owner of Zach Baker Racing, pressuring Kurt Stenberg for that second position. I imagine he's going to want to be higher up on the podium than he was last time.
Yeah, Stenberg just made a little mistake into turn 6. He just locked the inside front wheel just a little bit, heading down into the bowl, and that sort of dropped him off the back of Sean Allen and put him into the clutches of Zach Baker, who just gets a little bit of a wiggle coming up the hill across into turn 5. So yeah, just those little mistakes can have a little bit of a larger amount of consequence as Kurt Stenberg was right on the tail of Allen, but now there's a significant amount of breathing room there.
Someone who doesn't have as much breathing room is Glenn Postlethwaite, who has his teammate in Scott Nolan right behind him, going down the back straight towards turn 7. There is less than 0.2 of a second between them as they go through the last corner cleanly. So Glenn Postlethwaite losing a position off the start to the incredibly starting Corey Preston, up 2 positions from his starting. But Scott Nolan now putting his teammate under pressure as Glenn gets a little bit of a wiggle going through turn 1, but manages to hold onto it. So tight little battle here between the two Synergy Sim racing cars.
And if I was the two of them, I would be thinking maybe release Scott Nolan and let him go, because otherwise Glenn gets to slide out of turn 5. Because the more you battle, the more damage you're going to be doing to the tyres. And that slide at turn 5 has let Scott Nolan through on the inside of turn 6, and I think that's actually a wise decision from the two teammates there, just to sort of get into your own race rhythm and not worrying about fighting each other this early in the race.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a good when one teammate has obviously got a lot more pace than the other, which I'm not saying Scott Nolan's got incredible pace over Glenn Postlethwaite or anything like that, but Glenn does seem to be struggling a little bit. It makes sense to let him go and get on with your own race. Sean Allen not under pressure out at the front, 1.1 seconds back to Kurt Stenberg.
Sean Allen's also set the fastest lap of the race, a 53.9, so the only runner so far, besides Jake Moloney, who's already up to 11th place.
Jeez.
Wow.
Incredible from Jake Moloney.
They are the only ones in the 53s at this stage of the race. 11th place, that's a solid 10 places off the start line. Wow.
That is, he is currently only about 9 seconds behind the lead as Jake Moloney. I would not be surprised to see him up on the podium at this rate, if he continues the way that he has been. We're only 6 laps into this 42-lap race, so I would definitely expect him to find his way up higher than he currently is.
He set a purple sector 1 last time around, and that translates to, just as we get the timing to update across the line, a 53.5 from Jake Moloney. Wow, just wow.
That is some pace that man has as he's hunting down Brody Steen now for that 10th position on the leaderboard there. Sean Allen still holding that lead. Zach Baker, it's sort of stretching out a little bit, about 7/10 behind Kurt Stenberg now. Doesn't look like he's closing too quickly. Dan Ackland and Colin Warwick in a little bit of a tussle with one of the Synergy Sim Racing guys, Glenn Postlethwaite. He's dropped a couple of positions down into 6th place. Sorry, he's dropped one position to his teammate. We did cover that. But he has got Dan Ackland all over the back of him in another Synergy Sim Racing car. Remember how I said that they sort of spread their eggs everywhere? This is the result of that. Their eggs are currently banging against each other.
And hopefully you don't end up with broken eggs at the end, because Glenn's just made a little bit of a mistake into turn 1, and it's backed up Dan Ackland right into the battle between Colin Warwick and Will Devonish, and Glenn goes wide again, relinquishes that position to Dan Ackland. Now Colin Warwick on the outside as they go through turn 5. They're going 3 wide into the bowl as they all break. Colin Warwick does get ahead of them. Will Devonish is on the inside of Glenn Postlethwaite. Can he hold on the outside? He's very sideways, bringing up the throttle, and he does step a wheel off, and now he's lost 4 spots in the space of a lap there, and he could be losing more. Brody Steen is right behind him as well, and he's doesn't look comfortable in this race situation, much less as Brody Steen gets way off the curb, and Jake Moloney just manages to avoid the rear of that what's that team called again? Race Oz
Race
team.
on Oz, yes.
Race on Oz, yeah.
Just got a little bit of a replay of that. That was incredibly close. Jake Moloney was not expecting that to back up as much as it did. Just jinked out of the way. Almost went off the other side of the track as he cut across to the right-hand side. Managed to make that position up and is now in 10th place, chasing down Glenn Postlethwaite. I don't want to say that this is what's happened, but I'm getting the feeling like Glenn Postlethwaite has forgotten to change his tyres again, because he is...
Oh, not again.
His car is acting exactly as you would expect a car with very worn tyres to act when surrounded by cars with fresh tyres. He is just not making his apexes, just like he did in the first race, not making his apexes going wide where you wouldn't expect it. And
spinning up the rear wheels, and he's looking very vulnerable here to Jake. Run from the last corner, and he's going to throw it up the inside. Is Glenn giving the room? Not quite. Well, not intentionally. He does end up locking a wheel and relinquishing that position as they go side by side into turn 2. I think Jake probably had the better part. Discretion was the better part of valor there, and decided to slot back in behind, because I don't think it's going to be much of a challenge from Glenn Postlethwaite at this stage, as he gets a lot of oversteer coming out of turn 5 as well. He's really struggling at the moment, isn't he?
He absolutely is. As you say, I think it's sort of a foregone conclusion that this position will change in the very near future, so no point risking both of their races over it. Good work there from Jake Moloney.
Looks like we've got a spinner down the field, a car 19. I think that's... Who is that? Adam Zetzi? No. I saw something pop up on timing, a car not get registered, but it looks like everyone's gotten through, so sorry for jumping on top of you there. It's very weird. I'm slowly learning the time thing, because I'm still very new to Automobilista, so I'm still learning things.
You're doing...
So sorry about that.
No, you're doing so much better than I would be. Do not stress. Jake Moloney has made that position over Glenn Postlethwaite. Glenn getting very leery there through turn 3, I think that was, or turn 4, sorry. But Jake now up into 9th place, still only 8 seconds off the leader. So he is hunting these guys down. He's picking them off like rabbits. He is next rabbit up the field is Will Devonish. So he will be wanting to find a burrow quickly to shove himself into. But I don't think there's anywhere for him to run and hide, since he has Colin Warwick and Dan Ackland right ahead of him. Very wide there from Will Devonish. That might be something that's looked at after the race, because there was a lot of emphasis put on making sure you take that last corner cleanly. Very wide from Will Devonish through the first corner. Jake Moloney almost snuck up the inside, but Will Devonish was going to cut his nose off if he had done it. So again, wisely backing out of it is Jake Moloney. But these gaps are compressing very quickly.
And it's because of Dan Ackland. He's a bit of the cork in the bottle at the moment. A little faster than Glenn Postlethwaite, but now that he's at the head of the field, he is holding everyone else up quite a bit. He also went wide around turn 1, and with the way that the rest of the field is going, it would be very important for Colin Warwick here to try and make this move as he comes down the inside into the final corner. Doesn't get it done, and the longer this goes on, the more vulnerable the guys like Devonish and Colin Warwick are going to be to someone like Jake Moloney. coming through the field.
Speaking of, he's up the inside of Will Devonish. Doesn't make it the job done, but he does, again, the second apex of the first corner almost. Sneaks up the inside, but has to slot in behind. Just nowhere for him to go with that. But he is all over the back of the War Race Engineering car at this stage. Dan Ackland, as you say, a bit of the cork in the bottle. Looking at the live races, we've got some decent gaps between first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. But then there's this long train down. Oh no! Jake Moloney wide, and he spins out on turn 6.
And he's stuck there. He's stuck there out in the weeds, and he's waiting for the rest of the come through. He's got to stay out there because they're still coming, and he manages to get back on the track in 12th position. Very, very lucky there. And the reason he made that mistake was because the 3 cars ahead of him made that same mistake. He was the last one. Everyone went a little bit wider, and then he was. So very unlucky for Jake Moloney there, or he was very lucky to escape though.
He was very lucky to not lose any more time than he did, down into 12th position. So got that to do all over again, but I'm sure that won't phase him. 19 seconds now between him and the lead, so that podium looking ever further away. Big moment as well from Will Devonish around that last corner. As you said, they all kind of went deep and outbroke themselves. He had a bit of a moment, which has given a bit of a gap to Colin Warwick ahead, but not much. That is condensed down to about 0.8 of a second. Yeah.
And that's actually brought Brody Sheen back into that battle. Maybe not quite. We got a yellow flag in the sector.
Yeah, that was Kurt Stenberg has spun out. Looks like the last corner has struck again. Going to get a replay of this one. He's gone around the last corner. Oh,
that must be the glitch.
Oh, yeah, goodness me. Okay, so that that for sure is a nasty thing to have happen to your car. He's just looks as if he's just gone over a hump that you can't see. It's bounced his car sideways, and then it's just flipped over. My goodness. Yeah, that is that. If that's what happened to Jake Moloney, then I'll tip my hat to him for continuing the race, because I probably would have rage quit at that stage. But,
yeah.
My goodness, that is a damn shame. So Kurt Stenberg down into 10th place. Jake Moloney right behind him in 11th. So we might have a bit of a championship battle on our hands here.
Yeah, Jake Moloney just made a great move into turn 6 around Jinx, but wow, what a strike! That little glitch striking the 2 championship leaders. Who would have thought it?
I haven't seen anyone else hit that, although we're obviously looking at the guys up at the top of the field most. But Kurt Stenberg into the pits, so must have some heavy damage. So he's going to lose that position there to Jake Moloney, and indeed he does. 12th position and falling. So this tonight has not gone well for the Trans-Tasman Racing team.
No, and I think we have also lost from that first race. Emery, I haven't seen her return.
Yeah, absolutely.
Since she jumped out from that first race. So not a good night at all for the Trans-Tasman guys, which makes the Race on Oz successes, including Sean Allen with a 3-second gap at the head of the field, all the more important for them.
Yeah, for sure. It's this is not how I was expecting tonight to go, to be honest, which honestly is great. Zach Baker, again, finding himself in second position, 2.5 seconds behind Sean Allen. Will he be able to pull that down? Will he be able to challenge Sean Allen again for another win? For a win. Can't believe this is shaken out so similar to the first race. Kurt Stenberg rejoining out in 21st position. So that is just ahead of the leader. So importantly, still on the lead lap, but importantly
hasn't
lost a lap. So if we do have a safety car, which appear to be incredibly rare in this series, I don't think we've actually had any. They are a possibility. The setting is active in the series file. It's just never it just hasn't come through. Yeah, the safety cars in Automobilista are an odd thing.
Sorry to jump in on top of you, but I think Kurt Stenberg might have made the decision to make that pit stop early and try and gain on the field as they all come through the pits. As we had Todd Parks just spin in 19th position coming out of turn 5. We have had another pit caller. It is
Adam Zeitinger, I believe.
Adam Zeitinger, who had that. Oh, he's actually gone into the garage. Oh. So end of the night for Adam Zeitinger.
That's a shame. Yeah, he had that spin on the first lap, which put him rather far down. Glenn Postlethwaite now in the pits as well from the leading bunch. So yeah, it's maybe a strategy call from Kurt Stenberg, as you say, try to get some clear space. Although he does have... Oh, he's got 9 seconds to the car ahead of him, which is actually Glenn Postlethwaite leaving the pits. So, interesting to see if he comes out ahead, and he does, just about 4 seconds ahead of Kurt Stenberg. So, Glenn Postlethwaite was running at about 5th or 6th, I believe.
It would have been a little lower than that. I think about 7th. So he was behind that battle that we were interested in.
That's correct. Yeah, very true. Good call.
Just quickly back onto Jake Moloney. He's on the back of Will Devenish again for 9th and 8th. Very tight through turn 1. Yeah, basically nose to tail. And yeah, he's already... Remember, he was behind Devenish before he had that spin, so he's already back onto the tail. We're in a little bit of an interesting holding phase of the race now. All the gaps in the top sort of 5 or 6 are over half, like comfortably over half a second. So everyone's kind of getting to the rhythm of their own race. So as the race develops, as the pit strategies develop, we might see maybe the undercut strategy come into play. So these guys taking early pit stops, getting onto the fresh tires nice and early, getting a clear air, getting good laps in, and then jumping out ahead. Or conversely, we might see what they colloquially call now the overcut, where you stay out for a longer period of time, get your fresh tires at the end of the race, and come back through the field with that fresh tire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is something, for those who watch the proper V8s, the real deal, something that Shane Van Gisbergen tends to do quite a fair bit.
Yeah, and it can work out, especially if you're in a bit of clear space. Then you might do better on some warmed up, worn tires than on some brand new cold fresh ones.
Fresh ones, yeah.
Yeah. At the moment, probably not helping Jake Moloney any, because he's stuck behind Will Devenish. This is a tight battle. He's not getting any clear air or space. He would be getting a bit of slipstream, but he obviously has a lot more pace than Will Devenish. Just isn't able to make that position stick. So I would expect Kurt Stenberg to be gaining over him at the moment in pure lap times.
And if I was Jake Moloney, I'd come into the pits now, unless he makes this pass right here, which he's looking to. Down the inside of turn 1, throws it in deep as you like, and he's going to get undercut here as they go through turn 2 and 3 side by side. He's got the inside lane for turn 4. They make a little bit of contact. He's still got the inside lane, does make the move stick, but ooh, that was very, very tight. He committed to that move hard into turn 1. Wow.
Yeah, I think he was a little bit sick of it. He wanted to get that job done, and he indeed did, but it was definitely not a foregone conclusion up through until about turn 4. Just based off what I just said, Kurt Stenberg's last lap, a 53.8. Jake Moloney's last lap, a 54.8, so a full second faster.
We've got Sean Allen in the pits from the race lead, and now in 4th position. He's in the pit lane, and we've got a spinner on that final corner as well. Who was that? And Altman now in position. It looks like he's trying to get into the pit lane. What happened there?
Yeah, just trying to get a replay of that one. Maybe that last corner glitch has bitten someone else, or was it just...
It looked like he went straight on. It didn't look like there was any foul play at all. It looked like he just went straight on, and yeah, it was a very odd one.
It looked as if his car, like, he started to turn, and then suddenly No, I think that's what Jake Moloney experienced, because you see him, he starts to turn, he hits the curb, and immediately the car just suddenly goes like dead
the other
straight.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't as violent as what we saw to Kurt Stenberg, but yes.
Oh no. And drive-through penalty. Sorry to cut across you. Drive-through penalty for Dan Ackland as well to compound that. So must have sped at the exit of the pit lane. That is horrible.
I think it's an improper entry to the pit lane. I don't think he come into the pit lane through the correct sort of tunnel. He's gone across the hash lines, which probably will earn you a penalty in this sort of environment.
A lot of people in the pits. We have Colin Warwick, Brodie Steen, and Will Devenish all in the pits, which leaves our top 3 as Zach Baker, Scott Nolan, and Jake Moloney yet to pit. Jake Moloney currently on the podium provisionally, but of course yet to pit. So I'm very keen, Flood, to see how this all shakes out once everyone's had their pit stops. Kurt Stenberg up into 13th position and gaining at the moment. A lot of people are lapped down, but obviously that'll sort of shake itself out once Zach pits.
Yeah, just to talk a few lap times right now. So Zach Baker is leading the race currently, the leader to not take a pit stop. Last lap was a 54.4, and I think Glenn Postlethwaite is. Oh no, Sean Allen's just come through the pits, but Glenn Postlethwaite is one of the drivers who made his pit stop a little while ago at 34.1. So there is definitely a yield for getting on those newer tires. The converse to that argument is what happens at the end of the race when these guys are on worn tires, and these the Zach Bakers and the Jake Moloney, who's just set a 53.9. How'd you like that? When they're on their fresher tires, they've got to just interrupt myself. Drive-through penalty for Rismatino. And Zach Baker comes into the pits. It was all happening right there.
It was all happening. He did very well. Yeah, just it looks as if Sean Allen has come out into traffic as well, because he hasn't managed to set the world on fire with his fresh tyres, with a 54.6 his first lap around. So Zach Baker into the pits. Be interesting to see where he comes out. He was challenging for the lead originally. Sean Allen is currently coming around the last corner, so this is going to be quite close between Zach Baker and Sean Allen. Zach Baker sort of at the exit of the pits. Where is he? There he is. He's not managed to hold on. He's actually come out in third place, behind Jay Borg, who hasn't pit yet. So yeah.
I think that's basically play on there. There's not really... if anything, Sean Allen had a better pit stop and has a bigger gap now that they've gone through the pit sequence.
Jake Moloney also pit. We missed that. He's come back out into 8th position. Ahead of Kurt Stenberg down in 10th position, so he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, right ahead of the battle between Kurt Stenberg and Glenn Postlethwaite. So now the three of them are within half a second. Jake's going to be a little vulnerable here as he tries to get these tyres up to pressure from Glenn Postlethwaite. And if he gets passed by Glenn Postlethwaite, that's going to absolutely ruin his the rest of the race. As Glenn locks up into turn 6 and looks like he's going to gift this position to Kurt Stenberg as they come down the back straight. He's got the position for now, but Kurt's right in the slipstream as they come down the hill, breaking into that final corner. And Kurt definitely thought about it, but decided to back out and try again a little later. But that little later might be right now, as he's again got the run into turn 1. He throws it down the inside, comfortably makes the move and holds the apex. Oh, there's a little bit of contact there as well. I don't think Glenn Postlethwaite expected Kurt Stenberg to hold that apex like he did, and now that move has been made.
Absolutely, yeah, Jesus. And now Kurt sets off after Jake Moloney, who's managed to pull a 1.5 second gap while these two have been tussling. But I imagine that'll come down as Kurt Stenberg has a bit of a carrot dangling in front of him now, with the championship lead battle right ahead of him. Meanwhile, out the front, Sean Allen's managed to overtake Jay Borg, who has
Jay Borg's just come into the pits, so that now cleanses the field. Everyone's come through and had a pit stop.
Absolutely. So back to parity. Sean Allen in the lead over Zach Baker, 2.7 seconds, so which is about what it was before the pit stop. So no real movement there. Corey Preston up into the podium places. Excellent start for him.
I actually think I might be wrong in saying that everyone's pit. I don't think Corey Preston has pit. That might be one of the guys who haven't quite made the pit stop yet.
Potentially. I thought I saw him in the pits, but I could entirely be wrong. He did have a excellent start. He is overtaking people like he has pit, although they are blue flag.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sorry, you are right. He pit about 7 laps ago, so that's actually an organic position. So congratulations so far, at least. Oh, do we have another one hit that curb strike there?
Yeah, it looks as if it was I think it was the green Mustang of Steve Birchall. Not sure what happened there. We'll get a replay of that. Going down into the last corner, following Corey Preston, who we were just speaking about, just turns in. Yeah, same thing. Just hits that curb and the car goes dead straight. Oh, and oh god, I can just saw the person you were actually talking about who span out. Was Scott Nolan by the looks of it. See if the same thing happened for him. Yes, indeed. He just hit it and span like a pirouette. Was very lucky not to lose any more time. Managed to do a 2 360s, which I believe is a 720, and landed. So very well done for him. Currently in 4th position.
Yeah, lucky not to lose any time or end up in the wall there. And while all this has happened, let me try that again. Jake Moloney set the fastest lap of the race. He's a 53.5, series 53.49. Last lap was a 53.5, and he's got a purple sector 2 as well this lap. So Jake Moloney is on an absolute tear at the moment, setting another 53, and it looks like him, Sean Allen, and Corey Preston are the only ones in the 53s currently. So Sean Allen's looking very comfortable at the head of the field, about 4 seconds. Oh, and we've got a disqualification. Dan Ackland has been disqualified from the race.
My goodness, would that potentially, I believe he was one of the ones to get a drive-through penalty. Could be that he didn't serve it within 3 laps, which is the time limit, and was disqualified as a result.
And Todd Parks got a drive-through penalty
Not again.
as well.
That poor man.
Fingers crossed he remembers that it's a drive-through pit stop.
Absolutely. We'll have to keep an eye on that one. Kurt Stenberg just losing time to Jake Moloney. He's now 3 seconds behind him. He just seems to be losing time hand over fist. Might be carrying some damage from that issue at the last corner. Just not going his way as Jake Moloney now up into 6th place.
Remember, Kurt took that earlier pit stop, so he could be suffering a little bit on tyres. But in saying that, he is in the 53s. So it's not like he's running out of pace. It's just he is not running at the pace of, say, Jake Moloney.
Which I don't want to call it a strategy because I'm not entirely sure it is. But starting from the back has worked a treat for Jake Moloney. He's ahead of his championship rival. He's currently hunting down 5th place man Colin Warwick, and with just about 12 laps to go, about to cross the line for the end of lap 30, he is looking a sneaky chance for possibly a podium finish, although that would take an incredible series of overtakes. He is about 12 seconds behind the lead, about 3 seconds behind the 3rd place man Corey Preston, but there are 2 cars between him and Corey Preston. So
I would be very impressed if he managed to get on the podium. I don't quite think he's going to have the legs to get onto the back of Zach Baker, who's quite comfortably in 2nd place at this stage. But if he could, I think he could manage to overtake Corey Preston. It would be a long shot, but I reckon he can do it. As he comes down into turn 7 to make a move on Colin Warwick, he does throw it up the inside, dives towards the apex. He goes wide on the exit though. Colin Warwick can come up the inside again and take that inside line through the main straight. He's actually ahead crossing the start-finish line, and he's brakes very early there. And Jake Moloney side, they're going to go side by side up into turn 2. Jake Moloney's got the inside line and makes that move stick. Wow, that was very kind from Colin Warwick there.
Yeah, a lot of respect there, I think, between the two of them. Maybe a little bit too much from Colin Warwick. Could have easily gone a little bit later on brakes and forced Jake a tiny bit wider. But regardless, Jake Moloney now up into 5th position, and only, what is that? He's only just under 3 seconds behind Corey Preston at this stage. So that podium's looking closer as we've got 11 laps yet to run.
Wow, this race has gone past very quickly as well.
I was about to say, yeah, it doesn't feel as if we've been talking for almost 30 minutes, or I guess, almost 30 minutes. Let's run with that.
Yeah, let's run with that.
Kurt Stenberg, meanwhile, still in 8th. Sorry, cut across you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so our leader is just coming from the back of the battle for 12th position at the moment between Schultz and Jinx. So they're probably going to be seeing blue flags momentarily, and Sean Allen is just trying to dive down the inside of 13th place Jinx, coming out of turn 6. So hopefully these guys realize that they're getting lapped by the leader, and Aiden Schultz, pardon me, does move out of the way and allow the leader through. But that actually almost costs him 12th position there, as Jinx comes around the outside in turn 7 and makes the move stick. Wow, no good deed goes unpunished, does it?
That is prime taking advantage of blue flags strategy right there from Jinx. Very well done. Made sure that
opportunistic.
Yeah, let's call it that. Made sure that they made the most of Aiden Schultz having to slow down and get off the racing line. Got a nice little slipstream behind our leader Sean Allen and made that move stick. So very well done. Jake Moloney now onto the back of Scott Nolan for 4th position. There's people just falling like the Roman Empire right now, just one after the other. First the Eastern Roman Empire of Colin Warwick, now the Western Roman Empire of Scott Nolan.
How much history do you know, by the way?
I know quite a bit.
Did we just lose Scott Warren?
No, he looks as if he had a little bit of a lag spike or something, has shot off the track. Never mind, the Western Roman Empire has fallen like a house of cards. Jake Moloney now up into 4th position. And
he's stranded on the outside there. He's still on the outside of turn 6. It
looks as if he might have gone back to pits or possibly just having some lag issues. He's just sitting there. Can't hear anything from that car. That car is completely dead in the water. I would say he is going to be DNFing in just a moment. Never mind. It started again. It was very, very quiet.
Eating your words.
Absolutely. Eating my words more than I ate my words when I used the Roman Empire similes far too quickly. Really, Corey Preston should be the Eastern Roman Empire since he's the one still standing. But regardless, let's move swiftly on. Sean Allen still in the lead. Damn shame there for Scott Nolan down to the 13th place. I will say, Jake Moloney is... they're actually, all of them are being incredibly brave with that last corner, considering what we've seen it do to some people. I would be very gun-shy about getting anywhere near that curb, considering what it's done to a few of our drivers. But Jake Moloney just throwing it in there and setting off after Corey Preston, who is now only 9/10 of a second, let's call it a second, behind. That 3rd place is looking ever more likely, Flood.
Yeah, exactly right. Last lap, I think it was half a second gained on that last lap between the two of them. So yeah, a 53.7 versus a 54.3. So Jake Moloney is reeling him in hand over fist here, and I think it's only a matter of time as we've got only 6 laps left of this race before Jake Moloney. It'll be a Herculean effort from Corey Preston to hold off Jake Moloney, as that gap is now only 0.4 of a second crossing the line to start lap 37. And already a little bit of a nibble from Jake Moloney in turn 1, as he sets the fastest lap of the race, a 53.3 on that previous lap.
Absolutely. Oh, very, very aggressive on the curbs there is Corey Preston. Big little jump up on 2 wheels, but manages to hold onto it. That is now down to under 0.2 of a second as he goes wide.
It's down to nothing.
It is down to a bee's dick, as Stairs would say. That is the gap is visual, as he would also say. Down the back straight, under 0.3, 0.2. He's going to have a slipstream. He's going to have a dive down to that that last corner. No, he's not. He's thought better of it. He slips in behind, gets a decent run through the last corner, maybe have a go down into the first corner.
And Corey chases him over. So what I mean by that is to amp Jake Moloney doing the same thing. As Jake Moloney goes deep under brakes around the outside of turn 1, is he going to be able to... very sideways there. He's holding the line. They make a little bit of side contact going up through turn 2 and 3. Corey Preston using all the curb. Now they're side by side through turn 4. You don't want to be on the outside here. Jake gets very sideways. They make a little bit more contact side by side through turn 5. And they're not giving each other an inch as they come into turn 6. The bowl here, Corey Preston, is he going to be able to hold that inside line? He does, but can he get the run and keep Jake Moloney behind him? They're still side by side. They've been side by side this entire lap. Coming down now towards the final corner. It's a drag race down into that 90-degree right-hander. And who's going to blink first? It is Corey Preston. And Jake Moloney rounds him around the outside and makes the move.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Talk about setting a move up.
Jesus, that was a move from about 58 seconds ago, I reckon. That was incredibly close racing between the two of them. A lot of respect shown. No, little bit of rubbing, but nothing untoward, I would expect. Very good effort from both of them to remain side by side throughout that entire lap. But unfortunately, the Empire has fallen, and Jake Moloney up into the last step of the podium. After starting from 21st position, he is now in 3rd place. Incredible run from the TTL Esports driver. Zach Baker now up the road, 8 seconds. Surely not within with 3 laps to go. I just cannot see that happening. But
I
don't want
agree.
to. I don't want to say that unequivocally and then have to eat my words. But it would be a tall task, let's say.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think with Sean Allen and Zach Baker being able to run their own very comfortably, both of them have remained in the low 54s for the past few laps. Even if Jake Moloney can put in 53.5s, he's not going to wrap in a 9-second gap. So it's been a Herculean effort, but I think it ends on the third step of the rostrum for Jake Moloney. Still, even with that spin, if he hadn't had that half spin in the bowl, he might have been pressuring those top guys.
Absolutely. He lost 10 seconds in that, and 10 seconds is currently almost the gap to the lead for Jake Moloney, about 13 seconds by the looks of it. So without that, he would definitely have been pressuring for the top step of the podium. Just getting some notification through the live chat from Ackers that Scott Nolan had 3 black screens in a row. That would explain why he seemed to just jump off the track down at turn 6. Damn shame for him. He was looking racy up in 4th place, but now has dropped down to DNF. Sorry,
Yeah.
He is actually DNF'd. I did not see that happen. And
I just want to direct your attention quickly to the battle between Corey Preston and Colin Warwick for 4th and 5th. That gap has really closed up since Jake Moloney has passed through them, and Colin Warwick is looking very racy at the moment and is a solid 3 to 4 tenths of a second faster per lap than Corey Preston with this late stage of the race coming on to the final lap.
Absolutely. So going to have to keep an eye on that. See if Corey Preston can make a late position change for 4th. Corey, we know, is very good at defending, and in fact, going side by side throughout an entire lap. I'd say that's a minor effort of itself. But we're going to have to keep an eye on this as we follow our leader through the first few turns. He is led this race from the start. 3.4 seconds now back to Zach Baker, who I won't say lucked into second position. He had to be there, and he was. And when Kurt Stenberg had his issue, he ate it up like the sushi we were discussing earlier. So currently first and second separated by 3.5 seconds. Sean Allen coming through to take his second win of the night. My heart was in my mouth there for a second because I was terrified he was going to have an issue on that last corner and I was going to have to eat my words again. But Sean Allen takes the win, 2 wins on the trot for Race On Oz Racing and for Sean Allen, 2 second places on the trot for Zach Baker, and Jake Moloney from the back of the field coming through to finish in 3rd. What an incredible effort.
Yeah, absolutely incredible to be able to pull that sort of stunt off. Is certainly speaks to his quality. Corey Preston did hold on for 4th place ahead of Colin Warwick, and Bodie Steen, the second Race on Oz car, taking home 6th place just behind Colin Warwick. 7th went to Kurt Stenberg, 8th was Glenn Postlethwaite, Will Devonish in 9th, and we've got Jay Borg and Jinx still on track before they come across the line, I think. Yeah, Jay Borg just in 10th. And Jinx actually a lap down, so now all the cars should have been through the finish line.
Goodness me. What a eventful race. I didn't think that the first race could be topped, but I think it was in the end. Sean Allen, dominant performance. Wasn't looking under threat at any point during that race. Always had a couple of seconds back to Zach Baker. In the end, the gap 3.4 seconds. Incredible work for Race On Oz, and I imagine they'll have taken the lead in the team championship, which they'll be very happy about. Goodness me,
burnouts from Sean Allen, very well deserved. Just for a little bit of trivia, from his last pit stop to the end of the race, he dropped outside. This is Sean Allen, dropped outside a 54.5 once. One time,
goodness,
in those 20 laps was he outside of 54.5. So incredible consistency, and a lot of those laps were under the 54.2 marker as well. So incredible consistency, well controlled, and some well-deserved donuts that we get to see on the main straight of Barbagallo.
Absolutely fantastic, excellent race from all involved. We will be back in just a moment to have some interviews with the podium sitters from both races. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome to the previous round recap brought to you by Apex Rear Wing. Qualifying for race 1 ended up being done twice due to server issues, but Dane Warren managed to nab pole both times despite this small hindrance.
Well and truly fastest, 1:30.2.
It was a dramatic start to the race with Jake Moloney and Thomas McMillan fighting over second place after McMillan got a killer start. Further down the field, David Nedadich and Aiden Schultz were early casualties.
Oh, Aiden Schultz spearing off at the penultimate corner.
Meanwhile, up ahead, McMillan was pushing close to the limit and a small touch on the grass on the exit of Doohan corner led to an impressive save that lasted almost the whole way through the southern loop. In the end, it cost him another position as Stenberg moved up to 4th. In the closing stages of the race, Stenberg closed down Ethan Warren for the final step on the podium but couldn't find a way through. Thomas McMillan closed up, making it a 3-car battle royale which sadly ended in tears for all except for Ethan Warren. He took the final place on the podium in controversial circumstances behind Dane Warren and Jake Moloney, with Thomas McMillan falling to 5th and Kurt Stenberg to 14th.
Kurt Stenberg is stuck out in the gravel.
Jake Moloney broke Dane Warren's pole streak to start race 2 at the front of the grid,
Great launch, actually.
but made a mistake which allowed Dane Warren through to the lead for the opening lap.
Absolute nightmare.
An error for championship leader Kurt Stenberg on the opening lap cost him 20 positions. Disaster struck for Dane Warren during the round of pit stops when he was forced to stack behind David Nedadich, costing him the lead of the race and dropping him back to 4th.
Oh, he can't get into his box. They share a grid box.
This left Ethan Warren and Thomas McMillan to fight over the win, with Jake Moloney closing them down all the time. It didn't take long for the three to converge for an almighty battle for the win. Unfortunately, a connection issue drops Jake Moloney out of the race and left Ethan Warren to defend from Thomas McMillan with no buffer. When Ethan Warren and Thomas McMillan collided, the seas parted for Dane Warren and he slid through to claim the lead of the race.
The position back, Dane Warren through and into the lead.
Thomas redressed second to Ethan and Kurt Stenberg held on to the lead of the championship after completing his recovery drive to 4th with an excellent pass on Glenn Postlethwaite late in the race.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us.
Wherever you're watching, around the country,
Or indeed the world.
we're here in Kota, Monaco,
Sydney, Imola, Shanghai,
Albert Park,
Austria,
Suzuka.
Down the inside of Pablo,
Oh,
and there's contact.
Spun out already.
They've had to double stack.
tyres that you could dig them up and look at them on the fossil record.
So-
It's Usain Bolt of hairpins.
He's missing a rear tyre. Well, that was 2 races of the Perth SuperNight at Barbagallo Raceway. I've been joined by Flood. Flood, how did you find that race? That was, I didn't think that the first race could be topped with its eventfulness, but how did you think that the second race went?
Oh, some absolutely awesome racing. That sequence of 55 seconds where Jake Moloney and Corey Preston went side by side for an entire lap. That was unbelievable. I had a lot of fun actually commentating on that, and yeah, it was great to watch. Yeah, for me, I think Sean Allen controlled that race from the very beginning. Him and Zach Baker just untouchable. And what a recovery drive! Whoa, inverted commas recovery drive from Jake Moloney.
Self-imposed recovery drive for Jake Moloney,
Yeah.
coming from 21st on the on the grid to finish on the podium. Incredible work. Just see if we can get some people in here for some interviews. They're all lining up in the waiting room and just too shy to hop in by the looks of it. So I will grab some people if you want to fill for just a sec.
No problems.
It's bullshit.
I had Will Devonish spin out right in front of me there.
You guys want to go up? You should be
Yeah,
able to.
hop on up, boys, if you want.
Right.
Was quite an enjoyable experience. I'm very happy to be invited to come along.
Fantastic. We have been joined by a few of our runners. Sean Allen, if ever there was a man to say that tonight belonged to him, I believe that man would be you. Both wins, second race completely, basically unchallenged from start to finish. How did you find those races, mate? Did you just have a bit more pace than everyone else, or you just consistent? We noticed, Flood specifically noticed that you never dropped below a 54.5.
5.
Yeah, throughout that
Yeah,
entire
yeah.
second race. So incredible work.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I didn't think I was
what that was. But yeah, look, honestly, the first race was sort of handed to me. I didn't think I had anything for anyone. With everyone else going off the track, it sort of made it easy. Qualifying, I didn't expect to get pole for the second qual. And then the second race, dude, I honestly thought Kurt was going to be able to get me. So I sort of started the race a little bit, sort of not wanting to fight him too much. If he was going to go past, I was going to let him pass, basically. But once I was pulled a little gap on him and it was kept consistent, I sort of went, yeah, maybe I can win this. Like, I didn't honestly think going into it I had the pace.
Well, you clearly did with that qualifying lap in the second session.
Yeah,
right
that
at
come
the
from
death.
nowhere.
Yeah, we were already giving the rap to Kurt, saying, "Oh, what a fantastic pole position from Stenberg after his first race," and then suddenly there was a new name at the top of the leaderboard. So very well done for you.
You wrote me off.
Just a lot.
We've got we did that a few times tonight, I think. One man we wrote off was Jake Moloney after starting from the back of the first race. Starting from the back of the second race and having an issue on the last corner in the first race. Jake Moloney, how's your night been?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Had fun. The first race was going quite well. And yeah, I was sort of just cruising at the front, and I think because I was cruising, I probably didn't hit the last curb right, and it sort of fell through the track with the glitch there and just sent me straight into the wall, which was a bit unfortunate. And then, yeah, just decided to have a bit of fun in the second race, starting from last.
It looked like you had a lot. Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, it might have been a bit of fun for you, but you pretty much showed everyone else up. It was an awesome drive. That lap that you spent side by side with Corey Preston, how did you guys get through that lap unscathed? Because there was so many times I'm like, oh, they're going to make contact. They're in the here. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was quite an exciting lap, that one. That was really good racing. When I saw Corey go to the inside at turn 1 to defend, I thought that was quite good. Because I felt I could get around the outside better than I could get down the inside at turn 1. But I just didn't get the power down enough, and yeah, we ended up side by side for the whole lap, which was good, clean racing. It was good fun.
It's quite exciting to watch.
Yeah, had me puckering for sure. Had noticed a few people had issues there at that last corner. So just like explain that to us. What happened? Was it just there was a glitch in the track where you were falling through, or was it like we saw Kurt Stenberg, your rival, flipped his car on it in the second race. So it clearly bit a couple of people.
Yeah, I sort of knew about it, and I didn't have any issues with it in practice, and I think just during that, because I was sort of cruising a bit, I didn't go over it with enough speed that I was in practice, and it just sort of caught me, and it just sent me straight into the wall, and once I got into the sand, couldn't really turn to do much, which was a bit of a shame, but oh well, these things happen.
Yeah, it is motorsport. We've got Kurt Stenberg in the room here as well. So Kurt Stenberg, not the best of nights for you and your team, but you do walk out of Barbagallo with the championship lead by our numbers. Is that just a good relieving feeling? Is that just a bit of a, whew, okay, we got through that one?
It's a miracle. Race 1, you all saw what happened, I imagine.
Yeah.
That wasn't ideal. And race 2, I don't know. I hit that glitch. Your front tyre, when you hit that curb, it seems to drop out of the world and then try and roll you. I'm not sure what's going on, but anyway, it's not ideal. And yeah, it was a recovery drive from then on in. I think I broke my car when it rolled, and it just handled like a bucket of you know what from that point onwards.
That's a damn shame, but I guess on the bright side, despite a couple of despite his podium in the second race, you do carry a slim 57-point lead over Jake Moloney into Winton next round out. So probably not the night that Trans-Tasman was hoping for tonight.
No, I know I'm not that good at this track, and I know I'm not that good at Winton, but I expected better than my results tonight. I thought I could have had a crack at that second race, but yeah, look, the idiot behind the wheel let the team down.
Unfortunately, sometimes is the way that it happens. So thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Flood, for joining us. How did you find tonight, mate?
I was blown away. This is my first race commentating for AMS. I've been commentating for the Oz TCAC series before. So firstly, I want to say thank you for inviting me to do this because this was really, really cool. And yeah, I had an absolutely cracking night. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did.
I certainly did. That was an incredible couple of races. Next time out, we are at Winton on the 28th of May for the Winton Super Sprint. That is round 6. Until then, I've been Madbird. And
I've been Flood.
There we go. Yeah, he got it. He got it. And we will see you next time out. Fantastic races, and hope to see you next time.